Mallow there.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday, the 7th of October, 2017. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah, making a funny noise like you're wrapping your fingers on a cup or something.
I was drinking out of a Burger King cup.
I
thought
well identified. Okay, and Robert Kempis here.
That was actually quite impressive. That sounds exactly like a plastic cup 2 feet from a microwave.
It's very annoying that you can't drink silently out of this. Also, blowing the straw doesn't help.
Zach suddenly goes into a bagpipe solo.
Give a little whistle.
Only one pipe though, it's not a very interesting solo.
Hang on a minute, I've got one here.
Oh, I can't do it.
Can I? We've got a two-note orchestra.
Yeah,
we're sort of in key.
Yeah.
How can you be in a key with only two tones?
Well, it'd be better than if it was like a not
pitch in
tone
between
out or something,
tone,
not a semitone. Right.
Yeah,
like that. Doesn't Zach's now sound properly bent?
You can bend it if you blow hard enough.
Oh yeah.
Physics.
A little bit of glissando going on.
It's like you know in Clarissa Explains It All.
Solid 90s reference. Okay.
Hey, cool.
And when Sam, when Sam walks in through the window.
No, come on! That was like a clean electric guitar, like a surf guitar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't sort of more. I know, but it was more the bend I was interested in. It was more.
Yeah, it's a vibrato arm, isn't it? That's a bit okay.
That's a bit closer.
Of course, the vibrato arm named wrong, right? Oh no, tremolo arm. That's right. They call it a tremolo arm, and it actually adds vibrato. And then so it's Fender.
Yes, yeah. Because vibrato is actually is pitch bending, isn't it?
So for some reason, Fender put the whammy bar thing on their guitar, and they called it a tremolo arm, even though it's clearly vibrato. And they made the same mistake on their amplifiers, where they have a vibrato knob, which is clearly actually tremolo. I don't know why. Maybe they did one and then they decided they had to do the other one wrong, or they
I suppose they're consistent. That's something.
Yeah.
So because if they called it the same thing, that'd be really.
It's like, but they sound different. What's that?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know which one came first.
Could they just put R in front of it to be really vibrato, or really tremolo? It's the R tremolo. Or T tremolo. They could just put two T's. It's true tremolo. And then you could brand that. It's true tremolo TM.
But on the arm on the guitar, surely that doesn't have words that say that anywhere. That's just cool.
No.
Whereas the knob would have words.
Yes, it does.
So that would be
labeled.
where you could put the official.
So they could have corrected it on the knob, I suppose, and then no one would care.
So I have a reissue version of one of their old amplifiers. And I think even on their new amplifiers, they still have it labeled wrong on purpose.
They're new amplifiers.
Yeah, but my one is a reissue of an old amplifier, and of course it's labelled wrong on purpose to be like it was in 1965.
Oh, I see.
But I think on their new amplifiers, they still have it labelled wrong on purpose. It's weird.
Do they go up to 11?
No, they go to 10. Oh. You have to get them specially made to go to 11, I think. But on the Fender amp,
you have to get someone to reprint the graphic.
I think on my amplifier, the numbers are on the knob rather than on the. Does that make sense? They're on the knob that turns.
What?
So I could replace the knobs and get knobs that go to 11, maybe.
Wait, so they just put a marker on the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the knob is like flared at the bottom.
The numbers don't look like numbers? Is that why you would do that?
What, like Roman numerals or something? Or
yeah, where they're not written in Arabic.
I don't. It's easier to read because you're looking at the number rather than trying to work out where the little pointer is pointing on the scale. You're looking just at the number that's at the top.
Yeah, because it's at the top.
To register.
Yeah, maybe that is a speed of reading thing. But then a bit of me like from afar, is easier to see where the notch is.
So only if it's a fairly distinct knot.
Yeah, probably from afar it's easier to read like a Marshall one.
Yeah.
like the goes to 11 ones from Spinal Tap.
Or if you're just quickly if you're trying to do something fast, surely like just a big old arrow around the outside is.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Speedier.
To make the knob a triangle. Not confusing at all.
Yeah, which of these 3 points is the right?
You have to make it a non-equilateral triangle.
Yeah.
Then you're in trouble. Knob design with the Saladcast.
You're listening to Knob Talk.
How's the knobs on your toaster, Zeg?
Still sucks. But in related news, we had a new kettle for about a day.
What?
Really?
Or, well, you know, a not new kettle that came from the charity shop, as always. But there was like, maybe this could replace our old skanky kettle, and it's like, it was possibly, again, this is the same situation as with the toaster, but it's like, how is this really simple thing, just like a kettle, how is it so incredibly badly designed? Who thinks this was a good idea? It was because it's basically the top of the kettle where you pour the water out. The lid basically fully seals the kettle, but then there's a hole in the lid, which is where the water goes through. So it's not like you're.
Where's that when you pour? You mean?
Yeah, when you pour.
Right.
So the hole to let the water out is in the lid.
Even the spout is in the lid piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except the spout really isn't in the lid piece because where the spout where you pour the water from, the top edge of the kettle is just a perfectly circular metal ring. There's no actual like notch where the spout is. It's just like that just makes it incredibly difficult to pour at all, like accurately.
There's basically no spout.
Shape the water. Yeah, there's no spout. It doesn't shape the water, it's just an edge. And it's just like, this kettle is incredibly badly designed. Why?
Yeah, but what?
But it turns out...
So when was this kettle made, is the other thing? Is this prior to the decades of kettle technology and innovation?
It's probably fairly recent. But yeah, but it turns out the actual reason that we got rid of it was too loud, which was also true. That's not just like a random bullshit reason. I
don't really consider a loud kettle one of the problems with a kettle.
It was very loud. It was like, early in the morning it was too loud. But even though that is a legitimate thing to say about that kettle, I still feel like that was a fake excuse, because basically I boiled the kettle one time and I was like, this design is fucking terrible, what the fuck are you doing? And then I went and said, like, why did you get such a terrible kettle?
I've just got an image of you just saying that to the kettle.
To the kettle. What are you doing?
What are you doing, mate?
What are you doing, mate?
So I went and said, why did you get this terrible kettle? And it's like, we thought it was okay. And then the next morning it was like, we had to get rid of the kettle, it's too loud. And I'm like, right, yeah, that was its main problem. Clearly.
I don't know, there's something, like, 'cause kettles don't ding or anything. If you set a kettle off...
Could.
I mean, they could, yeah, but they don't. But if you set a kettle off and go to another room, like within earshot of a kettle, it's nice to sort of be able to hear that either the click or the switch, or that it's no longer going so it's like, my water is ready for caffeine.
Or you could just pay attention to time and think that it's been about a minute, and then just go back to the kitchen.
That too, but
or you can just stand there for like 60 seconds. It's not that long.
Like I said,
take a break, watch a kettle boil.
It's all enclosed. I don't have to open the lid.
You don't have to look at the water directly.
I want to watch it boil.
I'm sure you could make quite a dramatic kettle. I don't know. You'd have to make it safe, obviously.
Right,
yeah, with
you get one of these smart kettles, and then
they have
that to your phone, so it plays some kind of ridiculous fanfare.
No, I just mean like, you know how people like light up the inside of their PC with insane like LEDs and light tubes and stuff. I'm sure you could have some kind of window on a kettle that made it go crazy when it was boiling and was like shining all crazy lights through it while it was like.
I've got just the thing.
We've had a kettle that had the light basically shined into the water, so the gauge on the side.
So it goes like blue when it's on or something.
Yeah.
I've seen those. What, you just want one with like a strobe light on top?
Yeah, or something.
Well, the thing
strobe would be crazy. Can you imagine that? Like the surface of the water is like...
This is the rave kettle?
Yeah, rave kettle.
The other thing that I found doubly ridiculous about this terrible kettle that we got from the charity shop was that, like, I went down to the charity shop the other day and there was at least 2 kettles in there that were distinctly not as shit. I was like, why did you bring one of these home?
this kettle is distinctly not as shit as this other kettle.
One of them was a very fancy button-operated kettle, where, like, on the bottom base it had 3 buttons where you could just push it for 80 degrees, 90 degrees, or actual boil.
Oh, fancy. Temperature controlled.
I like that.
Yeah, because you
proper
can get,
coffee
like,
temperature.
temperature control kettles for, like, making fancy coffee. I knew about that, but they're quite expensive, I think. Yeah.
That made a beeping noise. So, you know. I don't know if it beeped after the boiling, but it beeped when you push the button.
Yeah, because there'd be... I guess with a button-operated one, there's no click to say I'm done, or it wouldn't necessarily get to the boiling noise stage. Oh, but then kettles make noise the whole time. What is that? Why do kettles make noise before the boil?
There's always some part of the water that's boiling, because that's just physics.
Okay.
Average temperature is not the same as localized temperature.
But then, when you're heating water in a pan, it doesn't constantly go...
Well, that's also because of the shape of the kettle. It's like it's an enclosed space with a tiny hole that kind of focuses the noise, reverberates it inside the kettle.
Maybe. I'm not sure that's... I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure that makes... If you take the lid off a kettle, it still makes a noise. The noise.
Not as much noise.
I don't know about it. It's worth trying.
It's clearly worth trying.
This one's got like a...
So it serves 2 purposes now.
It's got like a 20-minute keep warm button.
20 minutes? Jesus, why do you need to keep that warm for that long?
I don't know.
You boil it once, you have a cup of tea.
And then if you finish with that, you can have another one.
Another cup of tea. Yeah.
You don't have to reboil.
That seems like a horrible waste of energy. I
In fairness, our coffee machine has like a hot plate as well, but it only lasts like 20 minutes, something like that. Until
it only lasts 20 minutes, unlike this kettle, which lasts 20 minutes.
But a kettle's going to be probably better insulated than like a pot of coffee, right? So it probably like loses heat more slowly. So it probably takes less energy to keep.
As we discussed previously, kettles that are made for some reason of metal. It's just like, let's just have the really hot boiling part be completely exposed to your hands.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's my kettle.
Yep.
But it looks nice. And it's traditional, because they used to be metal.
The reason it was metal previously was in order to actually get the heat into the water, not because it was fancy.
Yeah, but they don't make kettles where they could be both, right? Where it's like you could put it into an electric thing and then do it, or you could just chuck it on the hold.
I mean, they probably could, maybe.
Probably not. I don't know.
Well, it depends where you'd have to make it like one of those ones where the heating element comes in from the side.
Yeah,
so, like,
it couldn't be on the bottom where you were going to melt it.
I mean, I guess. Or could you not just make... Is there a contact that wouldn't melt under direct flame?
I don't think that's a good idea to even try and engineer that. Like, what's the advantage, really?
So if there's a power cut, you can boil on water.
Oh, if there's a power cut.
And you can still use your kettle with a spout.
Or, you could just put water in a pan.
Yeah, but then you don't get a spout.
Well, you do on some kinds of pans.
I suppose it's true.
Milk pans. I don't trust the spouts on milk pans. They don't really work with, like, hot milk. I mean, they probably better than nothing, but it doesn't really work like a proper spout.
The spout is like, it's because of like the sides are too steep and the spout is too small proportionally to the size of the bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't really win.
And pouring stuff out of a pan while holding the handle is always awkward anyway because of the physics of trying to rotate something that's attached to a long pole.
Exactly. And like milk is like slightly different kind of viscosity to just water as well. Don't know how that affects it. Probably not much.
Yeah, probably not much.
I saw something online about someone making fizzy milk the other day. Like, we used to joke about it as like the soda stream nightmare, right? What would you do? You'd put milk in it and it'd be horrible. But like, I saw it come up in the newsfeed somewhere that's like the next hipster fad or something.
Well,
fizzy milk.
I heard stories of there's some place in America where one of the things to do is pour milk and Pepsi together.
Ugh.
And it's just like, okay.
So it's a melted Coke float.
Yeah, I mean, I guess logically that's not actually that bad.
I guess. No, that sounds horrible to me because I don't really like Coke floats anyway. But
What? How can you not like Coke floats?
They're a bit strange.
I like cream soda. They're a bit strange.
The thing about Coke flakes is you have to make them with really shitty ice cream, otherwise it tastes wrong. You can't have a really nice vanilla ice cream. It has to be
just need
cheap, like 99p for 2 litres ice cream.
Like supermarket brand soft scoop.
Yep. It has to be real shit.
What about the Coke? Does the Coke have to be quality? Does the Coke have to be Coke?
Yeah, probably.
Full fat Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it with like a Coke Zero or something. That'd be weird.
Too much fizz.
Probably. Well, maybe that would help.
I always
Half the
remember
Coke
Pepsi
flavours
Max
are
having
fizz.
the worst fizz. It's like mostly brown head when you pour it. I don't know if that's still true, but because I don't drink it anymore. But yeah,
I think the Zeros or the Maxes or whatever of this world, sometimes that little bit livelier. Yeah. Nothing beats a 7-Up for old school liveliness.
Yeah. Pour milk in a 7-Up.
Whoa.
Put ice cream in a 7-Up. It's theoretically, again, like lemon flavoured ice cream, not that unusual.
I wonder. I mean, it might be all right if you started with ice cream and then drizzled a little bit of 7-Up on top.
That doesn't sound like that would actually work, though. It's just pour off it.
Oh yeah, but you might end up with a little bit of 7-Up-y flavouring in the bottom of your little tub. If you put it in a little tub, it's probably fine. Maybe. I don't know. All of this sounds disgusting to me.
Okay, good.
Putting most things that fizz should not go with things that don't fizz.
But clearly, things that fizz should always go together. Just start mixing any drink that has
no, that's all right. Yeah.
So how are they making this fizzy milk? Are they like using
I don't
SodaStream?
know.
or something?
I mean, I guess a SodaStream could work if you use like skimmed milk because that's basically water. Anyway.
Water, right? Yeah, maybe.
It's white water.
I don't imagine the fat content would make that much difference to whether you could carbonate it.
It's just the thickness, isn't it? Because isn't like, well, maybe semi-skimmed are okay, but like when you're getting to like whole milk, isn't it getting just that little bit too thick?
I don't think the thickness would make that much difference to carbonation. I mean, maybe it's more to do with like the reduced water content reduces the amount of carbonate, so you could actually dissolve in it.
Okay, yeah, that makes some sense. Yeah, does fat carbonate?
Probably not. Because only water dissolves stuff. Kind of.
If I could carbonate my flam, I would be an effervescent personality.
Okay.
Boom! I got a joke in there.
So if you call that a joke.
It has the hallmarks of a joke.
It's not really
It
a
wasn't
pun.
even a
'Cause
pun.
It's like
It was
the
just
same
like-
word.
It was just using a
Different
word.
context.
It was just using a fancy word
But-
on a dumb,
It's not really a.
speculative idea.
It's not really a.
It's not. I agree.
It's not really a cough.
No, it's true.
I think that counts as most jokes formed around the idea of some kind of wordplay.
That wasn't wordplay.
It's a bit wordplay, like.
It was just using
I
a
was
word
using-
correctly.
But isn't no? But I used both meanings of effervescent simultaneously.
That's true.
I don't know if that even counts as simultaneous, really.
Simultaneously.
You were implying the other meaning, I guess, is what we're talking about.
That is wordplay.
Barely.
A cock is a chicken. I mean,
Cock is a chicken. Okay. If you say so.
I've been shopping for jets.
Because you fucking need a chair.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this broken ass chair has been here for like 3 months already.
What kind of
Yeah,
chair?
And it wasn't great
Office
before
chair.
that.
Yeah. So the chair I use at my computer desk is basically it holds itself together by one of the arms.
Yeah,
And
structural
the-
arms I'm not a fan of. In fact, I
Yeah.
don't like arms at all, so I went for one without arms.
And that arm has a big old crack down the sort of key point where it actually connects to the base.
Where the screw was.
Yeah. So Yeah, you now can't really use that armrest as an armrest, and there's reasonable risk of the back of the chair just sort of falling off any time now. So I've been shopping for chairs and discovered that the world of office chairs sucks. Like, I'm trying. Like, every chair I've sat on today has had a fatal flaw somewhere in its design, which is really frustrating.
Just like these kettles. They all suck.
Because you'll sit on them and go, nope, this one's uncomfortable. Nope, this one's bright blue for some reason.
Why is that a problem?
Well, because I'm not having a bright blue chair in my red and white and grey themed living room. Black will suffice. That works. Or the worst cases are the ones where you sit on one and I'm just like, actually, yeah, this is really comfortable. This works quite well. It's got nice adjustments. Yeah, this will be fine. And then when you try and make it go as high as it possibly can, it goes, this was designed for children! It's like the chair was only built for short people. And you're likely to be
short as well.
Yeah. It's like, and I'm sat here going, this is too short. And
I'm sure that wasn't just like a display flaw fuck up where it's just like it had been badly mangled and just didn't actually go up as far as it was meant to.
Well, there was one case, because there was quite a nice one at John Lewis that we found that was it was one of these mesh ones, so quite comfortable, but quite aerated, I suppose. Effervescent, yeah. Interesting white construction, things like that, so it would look all right in this room. But yeah, it just didn't go high enough. Just a key problem, just didn't go tall enough. And I've got quite a tall desk, so regardless of my height, I somewhat need a chair that's going to reach high enough to make it comfortable or actually rest my arms on it. And
for sure,
most chairs don't do that, except for the really crappy ones. And Gnome is not going to go for a giant racing gaming chair, as it turns out.
Well, those wouldn't go high enough either.
No, probably not, actually. But I don't really want one of those either, because again, those racing chairs, they have their key problem is terrible colours. Like, why do they have to be the sort of ridiculous bonkers colours all the time? Can't I just have a black and black combo? But then they also just splash a massive logo on it somewhere, and it's like, no, I don't really want to turn my living room's branding into GTO Mega Racing. Thanks. Yeah, office chairs suck.
Yeah.
And they've got expensive. I don't remember them being so pricey.
Some of them are expensive, like the fancy ones.
I just want one, well, because the other prerequisite is I kind of want one with arms, but I want them adjustable, ideally. So I can choose to sort of have them in place, like totally in place and totally not in place on a whim. Which is a bit of an ask. Because there are some where, like, these are fully adjustable arms, and they'll sit nicely by my side when they're down. But if I raise them up, for some reason they're hitting my shoulders. Nobody thought this through. It's like, you could raise them all the way up, but don't, because you'll be sitting really uncomfortably. And I'm not spending $1,000 for one of those really fancy mesh chairs. God damn.
Yeah, that's how much they cost, isn't it? Like it's freaking crazy. If you checked out IKEA.
I have not checked out IKEA. But that's quite a distance for me to go.
Yeah, but you could get. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I suppose.
Because this is the thing. The trying it is the important part. I've seen a lot of chairs online that you look at and go, "This looks appropriate," but then I saw some chairs that, from afar, at Office Outlet, formerly known as Staples, you would look. That's perfect. I can see those arms adjust fully. I can see this is mesh design, and then you sit on it and go, "This has zero padding on my arse." It's like sitting on a wafer of cardboard, magically floated by plastic. I don't know.
I got my one at old Staples as well. It's like, apparently Rob just didn't see the one that I have.
This one's from Staples. This broken ass one is from Staples as well. But at least it's lasted like a decade.
Oh my god, the Aeron classic mesh backed chair.
Yeah,
that's £900.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, the bonkers. It's more than that at like John Lewis as well. It's like
I'm looking at John Lewis now. It's 900.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but still, it's got like 40 5-star reviews though. Must be pretty epic. I guess if you like, are going to sit on it all day at work, and it's probably worth having something good. But but still, no. You
Well,
don't
that's
need...
part of my logic here. It's like I don't mind putting a few Benjamins down, but I was thinking like maybe like £100, like not like 200, but £100 seems to be like entry level, and it's like really. Ugh. So the current front runner is one from John Lewis, actually, the Penny, as it's called, and but that would have to be, I could build it, but the arms are totally not they're not structural arms, but they're fixed arms. So I could probably build it and just not put the arms on.
Yeah, I've got an IKEA one that doesn't have arms at all, but I prefer that personally because I go like under the desk, and also I like to have them out of the way in case I want to like play guitar.
Well, so do I. But I do use them when I'm gaming, and I'm sat in that chair and I lean back in it, and I'll put my elbows out on the rests and have the controller in my hands, and then put my feet up on the subwoofer, and then make the chair lean back a bit, and that's kind of my comfort zone for sat at the desk playing games. And it's it's hard to find something that's what I have but doesn't have the crappy arm problem, and is actually going to last and not fall into yellow bits of foam. So there you go. That's my house grouse, sort of my consumer house grouse. For the episode, office chairs, sort yourselves out without costing money, please.
Well, yeah, just looking at the IKEA ones and stuff. Looks like, the ones with the non-structural, nicely adjustable armrests are like 200.
That's a bit more that's sort of reasonable, sort of okay.
Volmar.
Sounds like a spy we should avoid.
Only comes in. Oh no, the black one is 175. That's not so bad.
Hey, color pricing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe a trip. I'm sure no one will be happy. Trip to Thurrock sometime soon.
Yeah.
Thurrock.
Right, we got any news? This is a podcast about video games.
I was sort of talking about games there. There's a vague segue.
That's true. What are you going to sit on while you're playing your games?
Chairs. Are you going to sit on this news about this Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer then? Because I'm sure you're busting.
I did see that. What did you think?
You can't fucking avoid it. It was the only advert on YouTube for about a week.
It was the only advert, yeah.
I still have I don't really see adverts on YouTube. Thanks to my ad blocker seems to block them quite well, so...
Sure, but if I watch them on the Xbox, I'm the same, but if I watch them on the Xbox, then there's no avoiding.
So which 10-second clip of that trailer is played in front of the YouTube? Because it must be cut down, right?
No.
I don't
Does
think
it play
they
the whole
do
thing?
that, no.
It just plays from the start.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They just accepted and did it properly. I think Rockstar would just had the balls to say, "You're going to want to watch this."
Well, I mean,
Speaking of
it
balls,
does show the Rockstar logo and stuff within those first 10 seconds, so that kind of tells you what it is.
Yeah, it's like you're going to want to watch this.
I mean, yeah. Speaking of balls, everyone seems to be talking about the clearly animated horse balls in the trailer.
Sure. When you say clearly animated, do you mean they actually animated
physics.
them, or did they physics some horse balls?
Physics,
yeah,
physics, ball physics, basically.
Because I kind of want to see that Red Dead Redemption jank applied to horse bollock physics.
Yeah.
I mean,
just imagine the classic when the classic ragdoll physics problem where bits get stretched out, only with horse balls.
Or what if the animate? You remember the PlayStation animation bug?
Yeah.
Right. What if something animates to the ball, if the model swaps accidentally? The fact that is now a meshable part of or potentially meshable part of the horse.
It's an independent physics entity part of the horse. Is the balls. You can see it. You can clearly see it in the trailer. In one of the shots.
There's a bit of wobble. Do they have both male and female horses?
I don't know. I assume so.
Is the other question. Have they been? Is there gender equality in the equine?
In the horse world.
Yeah, in the equine nature of characters.
I don't even know what horses are preferred for cowboys, or what
I suppose the men would like men. Is that how it works? Or like stallions,
maybe.
just stronger horses. Does it work like that?
When you think in that kind of environment, you almost wouldn't really have a choice because there'd have to just be enough horses to be able to even breed at all in one place for that.
Yeah, but you only need like one male, then, don't you? To stud, right? That's how it works, right?
In theory.
But I guess, yeah.
But probably if you're selling them off to cowboys, you just sell whatever ones there are. You don't really care about.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe you can sell the ones that run faster for more or whatever, but you probably don't care about the gender at that point. It's just like, just get them the hell out of here.
See, I'm trying to cast my mind back to all the years of being sat in the same room as Dad watching horse racing on TV constantly and trying to figure out if they ever really picked out a horse based on gender, and I don't think that happens.
Were they all are they all the same gender in horse racing, or are they all?
I don't
mixed?
think they are. That's what I mean. I'm not 100% sure. There's you need to.
I think
that it makes a much of a difference to the prowess of your horse.
I think the majority of them are stallions, aren't they? They're always about the breeding. Like this one, you want to pass down the speed.
Yeah, pass the speed down. Yeah.
You could breed lady horses. Like if they had an illustrious career and then retired, and then they could probably still push out a few fast babies.
No, I think it's the idea is that when it's the male that's doing the breeding, you can make a lot more babies.
I guess. Yeah. But then what if you took a fast male and a fast female? Do you get like uber kids?
Well, I guess that would be the ideal plan. Selective breeding.
So, fine, young Billy.
Someone also pointed out that there's a shot where like the horse is going so fast that it's got like saliva coming out of its mouth, drooling, and it's like physicsing backwards and stuff like that.
Again, is it physicsing or is it?
Was it?
Or did someone animate it?
Don't know.
And then more to the point, would it actually be based on the tiredness of your horse? Because they don't immediately turn to slobbering state if you're riding fast, right?
No, exactly.
It's like, has that guy been on a hard ride for some time?
Yeah.
And the horse has to transition into gob state.
I mean, I really liked from the original, the previous trailer, the like clouds of dust kicked up by like the bunch of horses. That looked awesome. So, I mean, all the environments look so good.
Notice that
for an open world game with that usual caveat.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're talking about right now actually might have some indication on the problems with that trailer, because not sure it really gives a feel for the story in any meaningful way.
Well, this one is like all story, right? This trailer, it doesn't really show any gameplay at all. No. Well, apart from showing that you can like hunt with a bow and arrow for some reason. On that shot keeps annoying me because every time I watch it, he's clearly missed.
Year of the bow.
Which is quite annoying. Anyway, but it was all about. I mean, they've confirmed that it's a prequel clearly, and it's about the Vandalin gang and Dutch, and then clearly the new main character is much more of a dick than John Marston.
Well, yeah, because it's not really as far as it appears, it's not really a redemption story.
Not as far as we can tell right now. But yeah, certainly not. He certainly seems like an arsehole from the at the start, if this indeed is at the start.
You would hope.
But yeah.
Yeah,
good...
I mean, the one thing I wasn't super impressed with is I don't think that facial animation actually looks that hot.
It looks better than if you compare it to like, it looks a lot, it looks better than GTA 5, I think. But I think it's getting a bit uncanny. I think it's getting a bit uncanny valley. That's the trouble.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think we've seen. There's definitely better out there, is what I mean.
For sure. I mean,
we've seen better stuff from Uncharted, and we've seen.
Oh yeah. I think Uncharted does it.
We've probably seen better stuff from the David Cage stuff, back on PS3. So there's something funny about it.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but the models and stuff of the faces are much improved. Like,
of
it's,
course,
it's just a case of. I think there's something. I think maybe it is a little bit of an uncanny valley thing slightly going on. I agree. I think Uncharted looks better and stuff like that. But it depends. I mean, how much. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
how many scenes
much
there are.
animation is in the game? Yeah.
Yeah, because
how much effort did they have to put in to touch up the animations, or is this all just raw mocap? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they have money coming out of their ears, so you'd think even if they had like 5 times as much many scenes or 10 times as Uncharted, they'd still be able to.
Do they not still have the LA Noir tech or a modern version of it or something?
I think that has come into play.
Or is
here,
everything just that
tell.
now? Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the process is now. I'm sure because obviously they have that tech from way back, but obviously there's way more polys and like just graphical techniques going into the faces now. But how they actually capture the mocap data of the faces, I don't know if it was done because it sounded like the way that was done for LA Noire was like really, really hard to do, and just
it wasn't. I think it was one of those performance capture techniques where they had to sit them they had to do the face separately from the body, right?
Yeah,
so
they
couldn't do the take all at once.
Yeah, but I think Uncharted has avoided that, right?
And most modern games have avoided that, to be honest. And most modern films avoid that. So, everyone's been lauding the last Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or the last of the Planet of the Apes
series.
Film. Yeah, just because the performance capture in that no longer looks like it was performance capture, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
The uncanny valley was avoided.
But nevertheless, there is something creepy about that performance of that guy when he's saying, like in that trailer, your mum's, your mum's just crying over your dad, and I'm going to keep her in black on your account if you're not careful. Stuff like that. That was pretty good. I think it could be an interesting character. It's interesting. It's I think it's cool. I mean, I know they've had Trevor and stuff in GTA 5, but having you like definitely play an outright horrible person from the beginning is quite brave. I don't know how they're gonna. Don't you think?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because no, I'm with you on that, because history tells us that playing an unlikable character, doesn't leave you as the player feeling particularly good.
Yeah, but I mean, if anyone can pull it off, I mean, because no one in. Although it's interesting with GTA 5, like I don't think it worked with Franklin because he's like the least.
He's supposed to be the one you like, right?
But and yet he's like the one where his motivation is most unclear, because it's like he just turns into basically an assassin, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like quite quickly without any right. He goes from like stealing cars to just being for some reason he just wants to be like a mega criminal. He's like, my situation isn't very good. I'll work out a better, smarter way of doing it.
And I'll do that through the gift of murder.
Yeah. And like, whereas like Michael, you can see where he's coming from, I think, and Trevor.
Yeah.
They make more sense.
Michael is obviously a bit of a D-bag, but he's a D-bag because of everyone around him.
Yeah.
Is the way that I didn't find too dislikable. Trevor is just, after a while, became the most annoying character in that game, actually.
Yeah.
And that he's fun, but like I always dreaded bits where it was going to make me play as him, actually, because it's like, ugh, really, I've got to be that guy again.
Yeah, it was all right. I think the that particular torture mission was like really bad, and
didn't want to do that.
They should have taken that out. But anyway,
it wasn't necessarily as bad as I think it had been hyped to, because it had, when I played it, at least it had that. It was so well known that I was expecting something really unbelievably atrocious, and it's like, oh, you know what? It's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, but yeah,
still bad.
Yeah,
still didn't want to do it.
No. Anyway, yeah.
If I wanted to do that, like Manhunt would still be a popular video game franchise.
Right, exactly. But yeah, here's hoping, because I thought that the Red Dead, even though the GTA 5 story stuff, I thought was pretty strong. I think it wasn't. It's not. GTA isn't as grown up as Red Dead was, and I thought Red Dead was a really much more nuanced story. And I'm hoping that I was always hoping that Red Dead 2 would go further with that and be really, a real classic. And this is interesting to what I'm seeing here. I think it does. I think it is quite.
Well, I'm hoping what they'll do is they'll introduce. Well, similar to the first game, actually, right? Because the first game has a narrative reason for you to start going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right. Because everyone's on your case, effectively. And it's just like, right, now we need to go here. They could use the same mechanic of moving to a different part of the map.
Yeah. Because he's kind of saying in the trailer we're being chased.
But make it mean something a bit more. Yeah. Actually make it something like everything's gone real bad and this is your character escaping and starting and being forcibly made to start realizing the error of his ways, potentially. Use that as the start of the redemption story, and that might be a third of the way into the game, and I'm fine with that, because that suddenly if you make those moments slightly deep in, and give you the hope that he's not going to be such an arse the whole time, then that could be a powerful bit of gameplay, as long as you can make it there before you get tired of him.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
It's hopeful. A risk. I think it's a risk.
It's a risk. Yeah, there's no.
It's the Altair problem.
Yeah, sure. But I'm hopeful, and it looks great. And although there is that one horse, right, that everyone's pointing out in the trailer that looks insane, the one he's lassoing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks. That whole bit doesn't look quite right.
Yeah, that doesn't look. Yeah, I don't know why they put that shot in the trailer, but yeah. Anyway,
because partly because he stood so damn close to the thing.
Yeah, it looks a bit weird
when he lassos it as well. It's just like, I suppose it doesn't matter how far away from a thing is when you lasso it, but it just looks bonkers that he's just basically right up in its grill.
But I mean, like Digital Foundry have done an analysis, and it looks like it's all gameplay, and the draw distance is pretty impressive on some of those scenes.
Rockstar don't have a habit of doing the bull shot thing, do they?
No, they don't really do that. So that's really.
And I think it's fair to say that this one, at least with GTA 5, even the HD version, or the remake, the next gen version, I suppose, that there were what you could call a couple of rough edges here and there, although not many, but like where it's clear that this has been brought up, I suppose, from the last version. There's something about the way this one looks and how it's rendered and the lighting and stuff like that strikes. Yeah, okay, this is the next. This is the next gen. This is the next Rockstar platform.
Yeah,
this is. This is clearly a ground up design. So yeah, still hype, but I don't think I don't think I'm more hype as the result of the trailer. I think
no, probably not. I'm as hyped too, because I already was pretty hyped. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, they're just trailers. I mean, no other game.
Yeah.
I might get much more excited by trailers from Rockstar than other developers. I still like that GTA 5 one was really good. I thought that first one with the music and everything. But and the music as well. Like, obviously, it's an original score. They can't just basically cheat like Grand Theft Auto 5 and just buy the most amazing music available. But the score was really good in Red Dead, and that same feel is definitely back. So
I wonder if I'll be able to listen to the soundtrack and not have it stopped by picking up a flower.
Well, yeah, we shall see.
Joe Bugs. That's not a bug, I assumed. It faded out gracefully, but damn, that was annoying.
Yeah.
The hoarder in me just couldn't stop.
Any thoughts, Zeg? You didn't play Red Dead, did you? Oh, you haven't played any of these games, have you?
No. Well, I mean, at some point, I guess. I did play Vice City and...
Oh, yeah.
So you stopped after the PS2 era, basically.
I did, at some point, play some of 4. But
did you?
A tiny amount.
Just a tiny amount.
I think I got to the point where you had to go bowling a lot, and then I was like, "Fuck this shit."
Yeah, that's pretty much as far as I got.
That's the GTA 4 meme. Is all these years later, it's just all about, "Hey cousin, want to go bowling?
You want to go bowling?" Yeah. No, I think I must have got a little bit further than you because I actually got stopped by a story mission. That was my main reason to put that down. That I just thought was obscenely unfair. The one where you start, I've talked about this a million times on the cast before, I'm sure, but the one where you start and you have to do a sniper bit on top of the building.
Yeah,
and then you've got like a military site. Base to try and break into, but there's landmines or something, because every time I just went in there, I would just sort of explode, and then it would make you do the whole sequence again, and I'm like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So I'd do it several times, and I'd go do the same thing. It takes a long time to get to that point as well. And then I'd wander in and be like, I've just exploded again. What
they basically did. I'm not saying all the missions in 5 are great, but they did fix that. Like, they did have auto-saving.
Oh, yeah. No, that was one of the bigger changes.
And also, just the combat was... Every time the combat is easier and better.
Mm. Yeah, no, it's just every bit of the design of that mission just seemed to just be...
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Just be against the player in every way. And it's like, no, this is... And it was a mandatory mission as well. So it's like, I can't progress unless I do this.
Yeah.
So I gave up. Put me right off. Don't normally do that with many games, but I push on through most of the time. But just couldn't do it. What other news we got?
What else happened?
Not a lot. Again, actually, in fairness, like it's a fairly still a bit lacking on the proper news.
People are annoyed about Forza microtransaction stuff, and it's been like reverted or something. Is that right?
To be honest, I've not been following this one. I don't really know. There was some
microtransactions being reverted. It's like the VIP pass or something.
That's the one. VIP pass works in a different way, or
well, it had like a coin doubler. It was how it used to work. So if you were keen on just unlocking the cars or buying the cars to your garage, as you have to do in Forza, then having the VIP pass and just having the coin doubler is like, yeah, fine. I can just buy more cars. I can drive more in more ways that I want to. That seems fine. I don't really have a problem with that because Forza has been moving further and further away from the idea of their career structure being you have to earn the money to drive what you drive or to tune what you drive. That made more sense in Forza 1 and 2, but up in the Forza 5 era, it's like, are you really doing that? Are you really fitting more components to your cars? You're not really doing that anymore. So the idea of money has actually sort of been reduced a little bit, I suppose, merely as a gatekeeper to, you want to drive the exotics, do you? Well, you're going to have to do that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And that's true in the Horizon games too. So yeah, they've changed it so the VIP pass is no longer that, but that's where my knowledge actually ends. I don't know what they've changed it to. So yeah, not news. Not news we can accurately describe. Unless you've got it in front of you, Dan.
Nah. I've just got a headline from what? VG247.com just saying Forza 7 feels like a free-to-play game you paid $60 to play, but I think that's probably hyperbole.
Well, in fairness, you could probably say that about an awful lot of games. Like,
yes,
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it has microtransactions and you buy a big pile of currency and then you
I've never bought a crate in any game. Hold on. I'm trying to think if I bought a hat in TF2 back in the day. I don't think I ever did.
No, I didn't.
No, I don't think I've ever bought.
I bought keys for crates, so I don't think I might have bought a thing and something out of the store directly, but I definitely did a couple of keys at some point.
I don't think I've ever bought anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Like, unless you count the DLC packs for when they were DLC packs for Rocket League.
I don't think that counts.
It's not the same as a random loot box. Because there's all this stuff about like how Warner Brothers seem to be doubling down on this as an approach thanks to all the ridiculous stuff in Injustice, and more recently the loot crate fiasco that is part of Shadow of War.
Yeah, Shadow of War, yeah.
Which seems like the most out of place.
That sounds pretty out of place in Forza as well.
Yeah, Forza was always a weird one, and what's frustrating about the one in Forza is like it's been a thing since they introduced it, right? When Forza 5 added it, it was, I wouldn't say it's super egregious, but it was always on screen pretty much. No matter what menu you were in, there was always the option to press Y to buy a coin doubler, pretty much everywhere in the game, and it caused ire then. And here we are, 2 more mainline games in, and 2 Horizon games in. And if anything else, it's just got more prevalent. And it's like, come on.
It's because the thing that people are finding most annoying about it this time, I think, is that like they've basically invented an entire new thing for them to sell you. Like the driver customization. Stuff. It's like the only reason that exists is because you can microtransact it, essentially.
Yeah,
and they were a bit screwed because that's the only thing they could have added. Because of their philosophy on the car designs, right? Yeah. Like, because you could have locked that behind a paywall, and I want to say at some point they did start doing that, right? They added like a design marketplace at some point where you could literally sell car designs. Yeah, but the vast majority of people just put free ones on.
Well, it's because they tried to do it. Like, I forget what the thing was. I guess it's sort of like the TF2 community made weapons, where the idea of the marketplace, if it's not real money, the idea of the marketplace was that the decals that you could sell could then give you money in the game.
Yeah.
It was like, that was the whole point, that the people who made the nicely. But the trouble with it was, if I remember rightly in that game, is that it was so. It just wasn't a very expansive system. You got an incredibly tiny selection to look at any one time. It wasn't really possible to...
Being able to browse the design list was actually really difficult.
Yeah.
And also... Or you had to search for designs based on keywords that people had given them, which was...
always a problem.
Yeah.
Keywords that people could set.
So that was...
it's never going to work.
So that was always tricky. And I think, you're right in that it was only in-game money. It wasn't like a microtransaction system. But then I guess you could microtransact yourself some money and then buy skins out of it.
Some money.
Yeah. It's literally what microtransactions are, just buying yourself some money.
Pretty much.
And I know Jim Sterling's trying to coin the phrase microwager for the new loot box systems that are in games. Because while I agree it's probably not as strong as true money gambling, it's still kind of a gamble, right? Perhaps this is more applicable to games like CSGO, where it's got ridiculously expensive skins that can be somehow traded for real money through nefarious means, but it can be done. Where there, it's definitely more like gambling. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with this spend money to get random loot. I don't mind the idea of loot crates as a randomized thing you could get periodically with any kind of in-game currency or any kind of time spent. That's absolutely fine. That is a game mechanic. But as soon as real money comes into the picture, I'm just not comfortable with it.
The trouble is that as a game mechanic, the idea of random loot crates, the only reason that actually exists as a mechanic is to seed the idea of buying crates. Because really, if you just remove the whole crate thing and you're just getting random loot, that's the same thing, but minus one extra unnecessary step.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's kind of what TF2 was, right? Before that went marketplace.
Yeah.
Right? And that was fine. I kind of liked, oh, I got this thing.
Yeah. Just like adding the crate, the only reason the crate exists is to add that step of opening the crate, and the only reason to open a crate is to add the ability to potentially have a locked crate.
I guess. And also I don't know, I think it does massage a bit of your psyche or something to have the box open in a fancy way.
That's that's only like that because they want to seed that idea into to make you want to buy it.
To make it more satisfying, so yeah.
I think that might have just been a long play, really.
Yeah, maybe.
Because random loot drops in games is perfectly fine. You don't have to have the extra step of making it an opening of a present.
Which I suppose
Makes you wonder if that's like what Nintendo did with their downloading games coming out onto your home screen as a present.
Yeah,
like it's completely unnecessary, but is it just trying to like endorphin you a little bit? Where it's like, oh, I'm going to open this present.
And I'm not even convinced that wasn't a true download, right? The present would turn up on your dashboard, but it hadn't actually downloaded the thing that was inside.
Well, it's
yet.
just an icon before it's fully downloaded, but then once it has downloaded, you still get to push the present, and then it does a little opening jingle.
And it's like, oh, you've got a demo to Monster Hunter.
Yes, you've downloaded the thing that we told you were downloading 10 minutes ago. Surprise!
Surprise. Yeah, that's a slightly weird marketing ploy, that one. I would much rather it just go put an icon to say, hey, you can have this demo if you want. Do you want it? No? Alright, cool. The whole practice is weird. So it's also really unnecessary in Forza. Like just as a racing game in general, it's just really unnecessary. Like I know that those games are super expensive to make and they try and recoup their money on car DLC. But car DLC makes a whole lot more sense to me.
Yeah,
like just buy car packs if you want these specific. It's got hundreds of cars in the game anyway. So me personally, I don't get why I would need to buy more cars. It's like there's already way too many cars in those games.
I've just remembered what the other part of the Forza microtransactions that people are pissed about is. Apparently, one of the other things you can get in one of the types of loot boxes is like it's like coin doublings, except it's more like percentages. But then they're tied to like challenges where it's like you apply this challenge. It's basically what they've done is monetize the difficulty settings. Where it's like you buy randomly in this loot box, you got the ability to gain 20% more cash if you turn ABS off, and it's like that was just an option before, wasn't it?
Wait, what? What? Really? So you don't?
So probably you don't earn extra money from just having ABS off unless you have that specific thing,
unless it just like doubles the maybe that's more than the normal.
Oh yeah, effect. Or it's like a higher percentage.
Yeah,
so like that's just kind of ridiculous.
Weird. I think they're stretching it a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's because they didn't have enough options. They were limited in what they could do, so they were like, we've got to just get whatever we can.
You know what? I know we talked about that. I'm sort of okay with the driver thing being a customizable element as long as you could buy the bits you wanted. Again, not if it had. I don't know. Does Forza have a loot box for like the driver stuff?
Yeah, I think that's where they mainly come from. It's you can still earn them.
Yeah, but if I could just
go and buy them.
If you wanted to add a microtransaction to that, make it so you can buy the thing you want, right?
You don't want the gambling.
Yeah,
that's what we were talking about. You want to just be able to buy the thing directly.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Dota 2 works on that for most things. Like I think there are some stuff hidden in crates and stuff. But...
Well, in Dota 2, it's the skins that don't matter.
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly. They're purely aesthetics, obviously.
They still have their. You can still buy like the specific. Well, you can still buy most of the specific skins as well in Dota, I think.
Yeah,
just not necessarily all of them.
And maybe they'll cost you more money if you try and buy them outright rather than for a crate. But,
so it's linked into the Steam marketplace as well, so that probably also bypasses that problem to some extent.
Yeah, and
you just go and buy it off someone else.
And I think absolutely everything in Heroes of the Storm is also purchasable, and I think to the point where some stuff is only purchasable. But yeah, I don't know. It's like. Where are the drivers even shown in that game? Like, is it just like because you can't really see them in the car while you're racing?
Probably can see them in the car. You're just not enough for it to matter.
Yeah, not during a race.
Not unless you happen to be deliberately looking out your side window or whatever.
Makes sense for the podium at the end of it. But when we were even the implementation of the drivers when we were playing that, admittedly we were playing the Forza 7 demo last week. But like even we looked at it and thought. The rendering of these drivers looks out of place with the environment they're in.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's something weird about it. Oh, anyway. We've made a lot more chat out of a nothing news story we didn't really understand.
Nothing news story.
Nothing new story.
Microtransactions.
Shall we talk about Cuphead not being particularly, apart from being a ridiculously hard but great game, apparently the Xbox owners have had some difficulties with the title, to the point where it seems like some players can't get the thing to install. So will have purchased it would have gone to their app thing, and it basically just doesn't download and install at that point. And it seems like the only user found fix for the issue is to basically factory reset your Xbox.
What the hell?
And then reset up your account and go in it again, and then it will let you do it. Now, this may be a Saladcast exclusive, because I've not found anywhere else that has reported this, but Zach and I were looking through the Xbox store last week, just because, and we saw that the Better Together update for Minecraft it was there, because basically it was listed as like, it's a recent game, and we were like, wait, what? It's not that recent. The Xbox version's been around for a while. It's like, oh no, it's recent because this version of it is recent.
Because they decided to split the Xbox version specifically to be a different installed app or whatever. It's not like an update.
It's something to do with the new cross-play version means that they've had to sort of reversion the game in places. And we were reading through the comment thread for that because we were wondering why it only got like 3 stars in its rating. And it's like, it's friggin' Minecraft. Why is it not like the most top-rated game on the platform? And we were just looking at it going, oh, people can't install the bloody thing.
And other bugs.
Yeah. But like a lot of them were like this same issue that Cuphead is having, which now seems to make me worry. Is this a platform thing? Is the Xbox just got some ridiculously critical bug?
This doesn't sound good at all.
No, not helpful.
Because it's selling gangbusters on Steam. It's got like 100,000 copies or something already.
What, Cuphead?
Yeah, Cuphead.
Yeah, good stuff. Because there's the people have been saying there's additional problems with it. This isn't the only one. Like it's a Play Anywhere game if you bought it through Windows or Xbox Store.
Really?
It will work on Windows 10 or Xbox. However, the ability for it to notice you've done that on the other platform seems to be broken.
Okay, well that kind of makes it not
for some. Yeah, making the Play Anywhere thing not a thing. And finally, the last reported problem is that this might be true of all PC versions, in that there's, for some people, autosave doesn't function at all. And it's the only way to save your progress in that game. So, PC version seems to have some problems, and the Xbox version seems to have some problems. Steam version might be more stable, maybe.
Yeah, maybe go for the Steam one.
So Cuphead, I do kind of want to play that game at some point. It looks at I played it at EGX and it's hard as balls.
Amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, boy, that's a good looking game.
I mean, but I don't know, like that style of animation that they're super inspired by and that they've gone for. That always freaked me out. I know it's on purpose, but like those 1940s like cartoons or earlier 30s, I suppose, or 20. Is it 20s? When was it? 30s, maybe. Anyway,
like 30s, yeah.
Like stuff like Felix the cat and stuff. It's really freaky and weird stuff. I don't know. I guess that's the idea.
Clowns.
Yeah.
The 30s were rough. That's what it's trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on back then.
It was all drugs. That's basically what it was.
Do you think?
Just like watch Dumbo.
Yeah, oh my god.
100% drugs.
Yeah, that's true.
I know that was a lot later than this. But,
that was a bit later,
boy,
but yeah.
Yeah.
Same style.
that whole sequence, man.
The whole fucking movie. Not even just the actual drug sequence, but the whole thing. He literally gets drunk and then has that hallucination. That's what happens. But the whole rest of the movie is still pretty fucked up, even when he's not completely fucked.
It's not a happy film.
It's a weird
Rarely
film.
that those things were at the time.
I don't know if I actually don't know if I could go back and watch Dumbo, or actually many old Disney films. Right? There's
Is
something
Dumbo not like
very long? Just
Dumbo
long
must be like
about-
in the vault, right? You know the vault,
Oh right,
the
yeah.
Disney vault. I
Well,
don't
so
think-
at this point, we're basically waiting for Dumbo 2, aren't we?
yeah.
Inevitable.
But the modern,
Yeah.
the modern circus.
I was
comes
talking.
down.
I was talking to my mum the other day, and I was like, she was looking at a copy of Frozen that had come into the charity shop, and I was like, "Why haven't they made Frozen 2 yet? It was super popular." And I was like, "Oh wait, they've just got to get through everything else too first.
Yeah,
then
they
they'll
will.
move back around to Frozen."
They will do Frozen 2.
I think they may have burned themselves because I think they might have done some spin-off.
Well, yes,
stuff.
they did a whole shit ton of spin-off.
No, yeah, I mean not just like, but actual real animation spin-offs, like little shorts here and there.
Well,
and,
yeah, they've done that for other things
yeah.
in a similar style.
That's fine.
Yeah.
They can.
Where's 2?
They could just declare them.
Obviously, the question, isn't it?
They could just
Has
declare
been a
them
while.
not canon. That's what they did with Star Wars.
True. I suppose it has been a while since original Frozen now.
But yeah, we'll just wait for them to get through all the other 2s, and then they'll come back around to that. It seems like the 2s have to wait like 20 or 30 years.
I mean, it was quite a gap between Cars 1 and 2. And I know that's
Not
not
long
strictly
enough.
straight. Yeah, not long enough. It's not. And well, they shouldn't.
Yeah,
They shouldn't.
an infinite amount of time would have been longer.
Yeah. I don't know. That's Pixar, not Disney, but
Yeah.
still. And how many bloody Madagascar films did they crap out?
Yeah. Avatar 2 is still going to have them. Not
well-
really Disney, but you know what?
3 more Avatar.
Yeah,
Films, actually.
apparently.
Yeah.
Supposedly, they're always just on the about to start filming those.
Oh, have they still not started?
I think
I
no,
thought they.
no. Or I think
Are
it
they
might have started this week or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Let me. Yeah. Who knows?
I thought that was in production now, but yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's still pre-pro.
Finally, start filming next week at 21st of September. So
Okay, so it'll be on right now.
yeah, they have started potentially. Wow.
I suppose it's a ridiculous amount of work that goes into leading up to that point. In fairness,
Guess so.
and who knows? And maybe they're doing it in like Lord of the Rings style, where they just film all 3 at once.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
they are.
So yeah, even more planning needs to go into that.
I don't remember anything about Jake Sully.
Jake
What-
Sully.
what-
Jake
what do you
Sully.
don't remember anything about it.
It's not a lot to remember.
No, exactly.
No, there's
Just
nothing to
generic
remember, really.
military dude, except not because he's the brother of a military dude who died.
Yeah,
I
I,
love
I actually
that.
probably remember a lot of just.
that is entirely the plot. That is it, and that he doesn't have a real body anymore.
No.
He is now just whatever the Avatar creatures are called.
I just love that shot where the ridiculously stereotyped baddie, like military evil guy, he's going to blow up the magic tree or whatever, and he's in the like assault gunship thing, and he's
Yeah.
just drinking this big mug of coffee while he's blowing them up.
Yeah.
That's my
Classic.
favorite bit. That's just
It's,
totally classic.
Get a
It's
cigar in there.
Yeah, exactly.
it's perfect.
so terrible. Oh.
There is nothing about that scene or that shot in particular that could be improved.
It's amazing.
Could have maybe been playing some kind of classic musical soundtrack on top of it. It actually, because it has a musical soundtrack because it's a film, but I meant like in the cockpit.
I think the only thing I would change about that film is the name of Unobtainium.
Yeah, but that was on
Well,
purpose.
that's
right?
irrelevant. That was
It is irrelevant, but I wish
to
it
say
wasn't there.
minerals.
Yeah. Yeah,
or to say oil.
yeah. Space oil. Nibbler matter.
It's just oil. It's just, if there's plant matter, then theoretically there's oil. Because apparently,
Yeah, but this stuff.
apparently in
this
the
is-
Avatar universe, it all works on a carbon-based life form system and all that stuff.
But it would be psychic oil.
No, but it wouldn't be, would it? It would just be oil.
Be something magical like whatever the tree does with its tendrils.
I mean, theoretically, the whole point of the adaptation was that, the adaptation is why everything floats, right? Because it's anti-gravity, and that's why they want it, because of its ridiculous mystery anti-gravity properties, and that's why the tree grows so big, because of the anti-gravity field that the fucking tree's growing on top of, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, I guess you want to make up some bullshit science, but you could have just said oil.
But they wanted floating islands. And who doesn't want a floating island? They look cool.
Don't make any sense.
But they're 3D.
But they're 3D.
So yeah, Dances with Smurfs 2 is coming out soon.
Sweet. I'm actually a little bit hyped for it.
James Cameron.
I loved this. I genuinely really enjoy the first film.
But the trouble is that, it's the same problem that they always have with this kind of film, where it's like they did a complete story in the first film, and that's like, now you're going to have to come up with some real bullshit.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, it's not impossible, right? Not to compare to one of the best films ever, but Empire Strikes Back basically did that. Right, it took because Star Wars is a complete story. Basically,
yeah.
there's no real loose ends. Apart from the fact that Darth Vader doesn't die, there's no real loose ends. It's just self-contained and quite a small story, and it's just like saving a princess, and there's not much to it. And then Empire just makes everything totally different.
But then it never really delivers on its promise of the Jedi and the Force, really.
There isn't much to it though in the first film. But it's
second
just
film is where they start ramping that up.
With Yoda. Yeah, so if you think about it, there wasn't much to it.
Space magic.
And Darth Vader isn't even that important in the first film, really. I mean,
with Avatar, it's just you can't really be amazed at nature again. So you've seen the nature, and then you've blown it up, and it's well, now what?
Yeah,
but we're 10 years on now, or something like that, from the first film. And the CG was impressive then.
Yeah, but that's going to be the problem. It's now they're going to have to try and shoehorn in a story into visuals that aren't going to make sense.
Uber visuals this time.
What could
are they going to be? Is the D going to be 3?
No, there's not actually going to be any 3D.
Well, the 3 is going to have more D. It's 3 double D. Oh wait, no, that Piranha film did that.
Yeah. Boobs.
I wonder if it's been so long since Avatar came out because Avatar basically stimulated the whole, oh look, we can charge more if we make our movies 3D kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now it's died. And do you think it'll just come back around again with Avatar 2? And then a whole bunch of other films will be 3D.
I kind of hope so, because no film has done 3D better.
Nope. That's true.
Avatar still stands as one of the possibly the best 3D made film, with the exclusion of animation and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, maybe The Hobbit pushed it further with 48 frames or something, but I don't know.
But it was still a post job, right? Most 3D.
No, it wasn't
it?
Not the Hobbit
it wasn't.
No,
but it wouldn't have been filmed on those crazy dual cameras, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I believe it was. I believe it was.
Yeah, cool.
I think they were.
That's cool.
Yeah. And at 48 frames, so it was trying to push it even further. But
I still haven't seen one of those. I still haven't seen a 48 frame film.
I can't.
I don't know if I've ever seen where that would show.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that when I saw The Hobbit in the cinema, it was projected at 48 frames. I definitely saw it in 3D. Yeah. But I don't know if you need special.
No, I think you have to seek out a special 48 frame showing or something. Yeah. But I just don't know where they would be, because that doesn't seem to be a thing.
No. Yeah, well, that was the only film as well that did it. Anyway.
Oh, I thought a few had tried it around that time. But
maybe. I can't think of any of this.
News? Oh, I don't know how we got
it's let's try and move back into the topic that we were actually talking about.
I can't remember.
Why did we start talking about films? I don't even know. Halo film. Coming still.
Wait, what? Really?
No.
Still?
Not really.
Because they never. Well, and don't forget, Sony has never actually officially canned the Uncharted film project.
I was listening to an old podcast where they were talking about someone buying the rights to asteroids.
Oh yeah.
Where's
Apparently,
the
those films aren't far away because there's the Asteroids film and there's the Tetris film.
I've been worried about
See,
this.
asteroids makes way more sense than Tetris.
Yeah, we
You'd
could
think
just make
asteroids would be
Armageddon
the
again,
worst,
right?
But apparently not.
You could just make Armageddon again for the Asteroids film,
Maybe.
but you'd do it with more asteroids
Yeah, I guess.
and less Aerosmith.
Or maybe it's as much Aerosmith. It's a different song.
Maybe it's Aerosmith in space, destroying asteroids.
But like
Just star them.
Tetris film is not going to be about Tetris. It's going to be about the people and like the surround. The
Oh no!
I want to actually include Tetris.
I want this to be as abstract as possible because I heard some early stories that it was literally something to do about a block city or something.
Unless we're going like for the Emoji Movie, and then it's just like this goes to the other end of the scale, and it gets completely dumb.
Yeah. Boy,
Where it's like
The
we're going to
underlying-
take the least amount of concept and just extrapolate it as much as possible.
someone I never saw it, but someone was telling me the other day that basically the Angry Birds movie is an exercise in promoting racism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Angry Birds is an exercise in promoting racism.
But
It's all
it's-
about birds against pigs.
Well, yeah, the pigs turn up and the pigs are a bit different, so we're going to kill them. It's like
pigs do
it's like
still steal all the eggs. I mean, that is still a thing that happens.
No, sure, but at least that's overtly that's like super overt in the game. But in the film, it's like they turn up and are like, "Oh, we just want to be friends. Hi, we're the pigs." And then the angry red bird is the one that's going, "I don't trust outsiders. I don't trust. I'm the racist of the story." And it turns out, oh no, they are actually untrustworthy. And it's like racism wins.
Well, it's not racism wins. It's standard like boy who cried wolf protagonist aspect. Where it's like he doesn't trust them, and it turns out he was right
with a race boundary. I don't know.
It's not a race boundary. It's just like he doesn't trust new people. It doesn't matter if they're pigs or birds.
So the lesson, kids, is don't trust new people.
Don't trust pigs.
Don't trust cops.
Don't trust green pigs specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. There is some subtext there, but whether it was intentional that's probably not the case.
I don't think it's really subtext. I think it's just fairly standard storytelling methods that are still technically racist, but at some point you have to have races in.
Yeah,
you have to have two sides,
I guess.
and they have to be different in some way.
And then they come together in peace and love at the end when they realise they're fighting over nothing.
Sometimes, not always.
I haven't got a lot more news other than last bit. Andrew House is leaving PlayStation or has left PlayStation, so we won't see. There'll be one less smarmy face on stage.
He feels that smarmy.
No, he's all. Yeah, I think when Sony was having a few problems, I don't know. There's something of. He's been all right, but he's one of those Captain Corporate type people. He's not Smarmy McSmarmface from EA. Like he wasn't unlikable, but he very much was it just came across as a sort of toe the line kind of guy, to me anyway. And I think most of his stage presence has been taken over by Sean Layden anyway. So I guess it won't change that much. So there you go. No more Andrew House. He's stepping away from Sony completely by the sound. Well, not totally, but he's still on the board, but he wants other challenges. Is what he's quoted.
Manage a football team or something.
Yeah, he's gonna move to Liverpool. And like
everyone's going to manage Liverpool. This is everyone.
Is it Jay Allard that's that? No. Who's the EA guy that's now at Liverpool?
Oh, Peter Moore.
Oh yeah,
Peter Moore. Right. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, like he's Peter Moore's already lost his job, is what we're trying to say, and Andrew House is about to take it in the battle of Liverpool versus video games. And that's news. I ain't got that now. So boring ass week.
Right. Well, maybe you can remedy that by telling us what you've been playing.
I saw Kingsman. If we're carrying on with films,
no, it's not a film podcast.
Was it good or bad?
I enjoyed it, but
it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
No, it doesn't.
It means something.
I think it's a good fun watch. It's like some excellent fight scenes, but it's technically a bad movie.
Yeah,
I guess if I objectively look at it, it's sort of like, yeah, no, this doesn't really hang together, but it's very well made and pretty and fun.
Well, fun is a good thing. Is it actually fun? Or is it like a bad taste kind of thing?
It's kind of a bad taste thing. Yeah. There are some camera angles and certain shots that don't ever need to be in a film. But
because the first film was notorious for like pointlessly having a yeah, that was cool, but then for some reason they had like an extended anal sex gag at the end of the film for no reason.
Oh yeah,
which is like what?
Okay, it sort of shies away from that, but it does go at one point to there is a plot point about a tracking device that has to be implanted internally.
Yep, naturally.
Classic. I mean that's kind of a classic kind of Austin Powers type joke. But
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's there was someone I know that came out of it going 3 out of 10, and I'm like, oh come on, it was a laugh. Admittedly, I watched it on a Thursday night, late night at work, with nothing else about. You're not at work, but when I was traveling for work, and it's just like, what else am I going to do? So it worked for me in those circumstances. Your mileage may vary. There you go. Films. I'm going to totally see Blade Runner.
Oh man, I can't wait now. I was really worried about Blade Runner, even though I really like the director and and Arrival was really good. I was still really worried, but apparently it's fucking incredible. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I've heard general opinion is it's really, really good. Does it stand as a sequel to Blade Runner? Maybe not. Does it stand up to the original? But as a film in its own right, take it that way and you're in for a good time.
Interesting. So I'm a big Blade Runner fan.
I know. I discovered the other night that's another one of those films Noam hasn't watched. Another one of those sort of seminal films that is just
that's a tough one to introduce people to.
It is.
It's really slow, and it's also a bit uncomfortable and rapey in places, and like it's like it's and if no one watched it and was like, this is really boring, I wouldn't like necessarily
I
blame
can 100% understand that. And to be honest, I'm a little bit in that camp.
Yeah.
It's
very slow.
I do struggle with it as a film, but I 100% understand why it's important.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of those. It's my GTA 4 of films.
Right. Can't get past that sniping section.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot to answer for. Let's be honest. What if it's image enhanced and all that nonsense?
Oh yeah. Well, that's fine. Although that bit doesn't really make much sense to me because I don't really understand quite what he's seeing in the mirror of the photograph. I still don't quite get that plot point, even though it's like quite core to it. It doesn't even really matter.
They spend so long on that thing.
Yeah. Anyway,
Blade Runner. I'm going to watch the prequel as well because have you seen that they've done a 15-minute anime prequel?
No.
That's totally done by the guys that made Cowboy Bebop.
What?
The director and the music team and the art director. It's the same guys.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love that. Like an animatrix style, but for Blade Runner.
Yeah. Totally want to see that. As I sit here with my brand new Cowboy Bebop t-shirt as well.
Well, really, my Cowboy Bebop t-shirts are like 10 years old now, so they're getting a bit.
I picked up some good swag from EGX this year. This was a good find by the same guys that did from Game Tea. The same guys that did the wall art I've got in my office.
Game Tea. I will look up some Cowboy Bebop merch.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Although it's been on, hopefully more people have seen it now because various anime, including that, have been on Netflix.
Ah, splendid.
In fact, I think it might be on Netflix. So right now, so if you haven't watched Cowboy Bebop, there's only one series of it. So check it out.
It's worth your time, even if every episode is a bit of a downer. But it's worth your time.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's kind of noir-y, not as noir-y as Blade Runner, or at least not every time, but yeah.
Not every time.
Yeah.
Just chase that data dog.
I mean,
Data dog. That's all you need to know.
he's a data dog, and they completely forget and don't really come back to it at all.
Yep.
Which is brilliant. So great.
So,
What you been playing?
First? Yeah.
Sorry,
Zach, do you want to? Who's going to go first?
Zeg? Yeah. Do you want to go for it?
I guess. But unlike last week where I didn't have enough time to talk about all the shit I did, I haven't done virtually anything new this time. Except I guess I theoretically need to talk about those things that I didn't talk about last time more. Maybe. I don't know. Except not really. There's not that much to say. Continued playing Minecraft.
I think I understood that.
Continued playing Minecraft on the multiplayer server. But not so much continued as started again, because I'm not even sure why. We basically moved from one mod pack to another, but it's like this mod pack still has most of the same mods, because all mod packs essentially have the same mods at this point in Minecraft. Like, these are the good ones. There's just like one or two that are slightly different.
I assume this is still on old school Minecraft, not Windows 10 versions.
Yes, obviously.
Javaland.
And it's still fucking... I think this second mod pack that we're doing might be even worse for like functionality than the last one. This one seems to crash a lot more, and my system can barely handle it anyway, just because of the RAM. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, the way you can tell that it's so incredibly badly programmed in Java is that, like, you have to set your, like, when in the launch settings for Minecraft, it's like, okay, I'm going to give Java 6 gigabytes of RAM, and that's still not enough, because it still actually just overruns that by miles. It's like, you can say 6 gigs, it's just like, no, I'm going to, fuck that shit, I'm going to have 12 gigs for no reason, which in my system's case means that it's actually just taking, like, all of my RAM and 75% of my page file. It's like, no wonder this runs real bad.
Wow. Yeah, that's not if you're in the page file at all, that's a bad place to be.
But then, like, regardless of that, this mod pack seems to have, like, weird problems where just, like, random things will make it crash for no reason. Especially when it's like random things will make it crash, but not, like, consistently. Like, there was this automated mining device that I'd set up, and like we had it going for like ages, and it mined out basically all the valuable resources in its area of operation. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to move it to a new area now. So we took it apart, moved it over, hit go, and then the server crashed. And it was like, well, fuck. Which was especially annoying because like we were specifically using that one because the other like automated mining system we tried using just didn't work at all. It's like, well, I guess now this one makes the server crash, so we're going to have to use another one of them, which is even less effective. Just like limiting our options. But then we were like, it's like the error logs or whatever. It tells you that it was that one specific thing that caused the crash. Apart from the fact that it was really obvious because it was as I hit the button, then the server crashed. But like, it doesn't tell you what it did to cause it to crash. It's like it must have been something that existed in that location underground, but not in the other one. And we were like, well, like there's nothing logically that should be different between those two places, unless it was a very specific arrangement of something or something, like maybe tiles that were next to each other that caused an interaction somehow. Or like if a ladder was on a block and it tried to remove the block and then the ladder freaked out or something. Weird multi-tile arrangements that could have had some effect. But it was doubly weird because that miner was specifically, it had filters. So it was specifically set up to only target ore. So it shouldn't have been trying to mine anything that it couldn't mine or anything like that. And we were just like, well, then I guess we'll have to move to some other kind of automated mining. We always need iron. You use such a ridiculous amount of iron, particularly when you've got like a whole shit ton of mods. And iron is the base resource of all of them, of course. So yeah, we've been playing that some more.
Is it more crashy because it's running on a server as opposed to running on clients, or?
It's hard to say. I don't know really, because There were a couple of other crashes we had where the crash message suggested something about like simultaneous actions.
Oh, interesting.
Like there was one where I
because you were moving something that was connected, like a big thing that was all like several blocks at once.
No.
And it was like no, you can't. Oh no, I can't handle that.
No, I think it was more like too many commands reaching the server versus the tick rate of the server or something, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Because there was one time where I was using a shipping crate where you put items in and then you hit a button to sell them and then you get an emerald. And I was dumping stuff in there and hitting the button real fast and then it crashed. I was like, so did I hit the button too fast? Was that what the problem was? That was annoying as well because it was like, well, this is the easy source of emeralds. Oh no, wait, it makes the server crash. Well, can't do that any longer. So yeah, Minecraft is still a really difficult thing to actually run functionally when you've got this many mods installed.
That was one of the bullet points in the Better Together update, isn't it? That they're adding. I don't know if they're free or are they paid for. Like the servers.
Well, the servers are probably paid for, but like how much they can do to those servers is the interesting thing about that update. It seems like there's some amount of not exactly modding, but some amount of being able to modify the actual like base game of Minecraft to make it slightly different. Editing crafting recipes and stuff that traditionally be like a mod thing, but
I heard about that.
Don't know what exactly they're doing there. Because it would be nice to have any of these mods exist in the better version.
I did read there's a legit bug actually where if you go and play on a server.
Well, that's what we were talking about with the 3-star thing. That was the other reason why the 3-star reviews.
One of the legit bugs was that if you went onto a server that had crafting recipes changed in some way, and then when you came back off of a server into your offline game.
Or a non-modded server.
Yeah, that it would keep the same crafting recipe changes.
Well, not necessarily keep them, but like fuck up the default ones.
Yeah, something like that. It seems like a fairly major problem.
Yeah. It's weird because like when you're looking at these server mod packs that we're running, the majority of them are still like running on an old version of Minecraft. And it's not even just because like mods that haven't updated or whatever. It's like quite a lot of these mods are still being updated. They're just being also updated for this one specific version of Minecraft and modern Minecraft because they know that this one version is like the one that a lot of mods stayed on.
Oh, I see. Right.
So in order for all of them to be usable together, they're all staying on this one version. But it's not the most up-to-date version of Minecraft. It's kind of weird. But yeah, and then of course there's still the old like 1 or 2 mods where it's just like I wish this had updated because it didn't, and it's too old, doesn't have even this far updated version. But yeah, I keep like when I occasionally continue to play Minecraft by myself, I'm like, I don't want to play this mod pack mainly because it takes like 5 minutes to launch because of all these millions of mods that it's trying to load. So I then go and like create my own version where I'm just like, what of these mods do I care about and how many of these can I just get rid of? It's like, oh, this launches way faster and it's just like, just much more compact, doesn't use all my RAM. Just get rid of some of this bullshit. I mean, admittedly, some of the bullshit I get rid of is just like, I don't need DecoCraft, the mod that just gives you a bunch of decorative shit. I don't care.
Right.
I'm only about mechanics, but some people like decorative shit. Some people on the server would probably be unhappy if they didn't have the option to make cool things. Just basic Minecraft blocks and then a bunch of fancy machines that don't look that cool. But I'm all about mechanics. That was the other problem that I had when I was playing on the server with people, because it's like people build buildings and then put machines in them, but I tend to build like a flat platform, build machines on it, and then be like, okay, now that I know how big the machines are, I can build a building around them. Except I rarely even get to that point. So it's just like I've just got like a half-finished building that doesn't have a roof because I've got machines that still might need to fit in there. That's my problem with Minecraft. And also, I'm not that great at the design part of making buildings. So even when I do get around to finish a building, it's just like, it's just a generic ass building.
It's just a square.
I did make some slight amount of effort with the last building I did, where I was like, I want this roof to be red, but the only red block in default Minecraft is bricks, and that doesn't make sense for a roof. But luckily, in this mod, there's like cherry wood, which for some reason is bright red, because I don't think that's how cherry wood actually works. But
No.
okay, so I was like, oh well, I'll have to go get a cherry tree and specifically grow it multiple times to harvest wood off it, so I can make this roof, and it will look nice. Effort.
It's quite some of that red wood from that bit in The Witness. Just take your pickaxe to that.
Yeah. That was Minecraft, and then in a sort of semi-related game, I still played a little bit more of 7 Days to Die, not that much more. Continued trying to exploit the AI, as you do. It almost worked, because I did the experiment of blocking up the back door to see if I could make the AI path onto my bridge full of traps.
Right, yeah.
And that sort of worked, but not as well as I was hoping. I don't know, because it just doesn't seem very consistent about what their pathfinding actually is. Because like when I changed it around to block off the back door, and I also like moved some of the traps around in the vicinity of the drawbridge, but then like because the drawbridge had been what I thought was sort of the problem, because the zombies tried to path over the drawbridge even though it was up. It was like they didn't realise that it had a open state or whatever, so they'd constantly run up to the end of the drawbridge and then just jump in the boat over and over,
right, yeah.
and they'd like loop round and do it again. I was just like, well, obviously I can put a really big trap there to just, like whittle them down if they're going to keep jumping on that exact spot. And that worked the first time, but then when I blocked up the back door and tried to make them go across the bridge, like that somehow discouraged them from jumping into the drawbridge hole, and I was like, what else did I change? I don't know. But also the other problem with that experiment was like the hordes aren't exactly the same every time. Like I had a really hard horde on 1 week and then like a really easy one on the next. And I was like, well, that's not, I can't really compare these results because the hordes were completely different. This horde virtually didn't have any special zombies and the other one had tons. Don't know how that would affect the pathfinding.
The specials like literally behave slightly differently then. Right?
Yeah, I mean, apart, they have special abilities, but they also have like more health or whatever, so they persist in your traps longer.
Oh, I see.
They'll
Right.
damage paths through the traps or whatever for the other ones to come through. So it slightly alters the the whole mechanism. But I mean, at this point, I feel like maybe it doesn't matter as much because now I'm starting to get to the point where I have the resources to just shoot them. Like I can just use guns. I don't have to rely on wooden spikes or whatever and just build layers of spikes to protect myself. I can just be like, I'll just stand at my front door and let you come to me and I'll just mow you down because I actually have guns and ammo now. Maybe I'll build an automated gun turret at some point.
Nice.
Although I don't know where I was going to put that. That's probably the automatic gun. Like I'd have to find I might just put it on top of the house that I'm fortified in. It's way up there. I don't know what its range is. That'll be the problem. Then be a motion detecting turret.
Build a little porch and stick it on top of that.
Well, the trouble is I dug this moat that goes around the house, and I was like, not sure where I can fit this. Maybe I'll just build like a platform that floats above the moat.
Yes.
Put the gun on that. Who knows? I was also wondering whether the gun's motion detector would work through like metal bars, because then I could like build it into the wall.
Yeah, I see.
And that'd be kind of cool. Put it in my basement essentially, so it could see out through the wall of the moat into the moat. That would be nice, because my basement doesn't have anything in it. Apart from an entrance to a mine shaft that I dug. Which I was planning on. The weird thing about... I was wondering whether this would be a problem when I started digging this mine shaft. It's like you can tunnel into the ground, and it's... Like I said last time, it's like it's technically a tile-based system. Like you target the individual chunk, and it's clearly taking out one square, even though it's not a square.
Right, yeah.
Like when you rebuild, you're placing a square and it fits nicely into that space or whatever. So I was digging this mine shaft and I was like, well, are zombies just going to spawn in this mine shaft even though it's closed off?
Right.
Because like it's not technically a building, so it's like, will it not realise and allow them to spawn?
Are you basically creating a giant trapdoor filled with bugs?
Yeah, exactly. Am I just letting them in a back route? But they haven't, and it's really weird. I was like, it must actually be doing some kind of detection, or either that or it just doesn't let zombies spawn underground. I guess I haven't ever been in a cave at a time where zombies might spawn to see whether that is actually just a thing. Because there are natural caves. not particularly helpful natural caves. Just like a small tunnel that goes into the ground. Might as well just dig your own. Get way more resources as well if you dig your own.
It me wonders if that would be the actual what would be the spawning places, right? Like because they could come out of basically enemy closets.
Yeah,
And be a little bit hidden.
exactly. That's why I was worried because I was like, "There's no if the zombies clearly just come from the edge of your like view range or whatever. They clearly just spawn and you don't have any limits at that point." So I was just like, if they were underground in the tunnel, they should only be able to spawn at the end of the tunnel. That would be the only logical place for them to appear. They'd all appear there and then you'd be screwed if you're trapped in a small tunnel with a shit ton of zombies.
Trapped with
But
zombies.
no, seems like it's not. It's smarter than that in some way. So yeah, that's game's still kind of interesting. We'll see if they continue to update it at some point. Who knows? And I don't remember what else. I played Rocket League, I guess.
Of course.
Traditional.
The
I guess
tournament's
that was the
over,
Rocket
man.
League update. I suppose that's
Oh yeah.
vague amount of news about Rocket League that's marginally more interesting than just me playing it.
Why? What did they add?
Start of season 6, and they added a new map, but it's just a new skin, and they also unweirded some of the maps. No more Octagon in Space Base, or whatever that map's called, Starbase. It's now just a standard map, but with the Starbase skin.
Yeah, see, I'm a bit. I don't know if I like this move of them to sort of effectively slowly take out the concept of these different shaped levels because I don't know. I quite enjoyed the Neo Tokyo one with the weird shelf, and we always seemed to fare pretty good on the Octagon. In fairness,
Yes.
It was good for the team.
Yes, clearly.
So I don't know how I feel about them removing the variety and just having it so they look different. I don't know.
It's like we always say.
I sort of get it for ranked.
Yeah. It's like we always say that there should just be a playlist that has the option to have those maps in. Because there isn't. There's still the Rocket Labs playlist, but that's only the Labs maps, and it's just like that's not all the weird shaped maps, that's just the ones that haven't been made into actual maps.
I mean, I bet they assumed that that's what the whole preference settings
The vote, yeah.
were for, right? But
Except not really, because that's not how that system worked.
No, it didn't actually influence the server you were on.
I mean,
it should.
Technically did, but not like enough. If any one person had a vote for a map and everyone else didn't, then it still could turn up. So yeah, and then the start of the new season, get your previous season rank rewards, and not actually like a patch note as such, but one of those things that seems like where you have the suspicion of like, did they change something? Because this seems strange, but now demolitions seem to be acting weird at the moment. Like you can easily have people like basically destroy themselves on you.
Wait, what? So you could be the stationary one?
Well, not exactly stationary. It's like
the slower moving.
Well, it's like it doesn't seem to do as good a job of detecting who's deliberately hitting the other person or whatever. Supposedly, I haven't actually seen this, but I was talking to someone about it. But supposedly, there's been quite a few gifs on Reddit turning up where, like, there's one fairly infamous one where a dude is like dribbling a ball down the field, and it's a 2-on-2, and the other two players both come in from opposite sides as he's driving forward and just explode on the side of him. Like they T-bone him, and they just both explode, and he just carries on. It's like, okay, that seems kind of weird.
Yeah. I can't quite figure out how that would. I'd imagine it would be possible for one of those, one of the boners, as in this case, to have exploded, and then the guy in the middle. Like I don't know. Imagine if like the first guy hitting him is the one that caused him to gain the momentum. So the first hit did destroy
the other guy.
Yeah, and then that moved. Yeah, and then killed the other boner.
Yeah.
But then you'd assume the first boner might have still had momentum to follow up and then hit him again, and then maybe that would cause him to destroy. But then,
Yeah, it just seems like
it doesn't quite. I can't. It doesn't seem like the momentum would have worked out that way.
no, it just doesn't seem like there's any real reason for it. And I haven't seen anything that bad, but there have been cases where it's just like people have seemed to explode at slightly weird angles. And the other thing I've noticed is it seems like there's occasionally weird collision on the goalposts now again. Which is like that bounce didn't seem quite right. I don't know. And also transparent goalposts. That's maybe the more important thing.
That's the fun. That's the important part.
Although I had a few problems with that the first couple of days because it's just like I kept running into the goalposts because they were too transparent. I didn't see them. It's the opposite problem. Now I can't see the post, but I can see the ball. And it does do some weird effects occasionally, like on the new map, especially at certain angles. Like the back of the goal just looks like it fades into darkness, and it's like that's not even. It doesn't look like that from inside the map, I guess.
Right.
It just looks like a normal back of the goal, but like outside the map, there's like this weird darkness effect that's meant to. I guess it's meant to make it look a little more natural when it goes transparent, like it fades out. Rather than just showing you the back of the polygon or whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
But it still looks kind of weird.
Huh. Can't really envisage it. I'll have to see it.
No, yeah. Yeah, totally.
Although I've had a bit of a blocker to actually joining you because
your microphone's fucked.
Yeah, my microphone's broken as well.
Oh no.
On my actual headset. I could use this mic, I suppose. But
That'd be a bit awkward.
yeah, not the best. I'd have to change my setup so I was listening. I don't really play games with the audio coming through my headset from the game. If you know what I mean. I like doing the sort of old school Xbox one with where voice is coming through the headset, but all the game audio is coming out of the
Yeah, me too.
Out of the speakers. I like that. Yeah, so that then would pose a bit of a feedback problem.
You could probably get like a mono headset for that, like the old Xbox ones.
Maybe, yeah. And I'm still wearing it now because the speaker part of it still works, so it's quite convenient for our podcast setup still. But probably need to get a new one.
Yeah, for the mic.
For the mic.
Mic check.
Mic check 1, 2. What else you got?
Not anything else, I don't think.
No more space engineers or astroneer or...
No, I'm still trying to play that Mystery Factory Idol web game thing that I talked about briefly last time.
Yeah, I can't remember do you remember? I can't remember what it's called.
Factory Idol.
It's actually called Factory Idol.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing about that was that it's not quite as generous as I initially thought it was, because it gives you the ability to speed up time if you've been away for a while.
Yeah.
Like you get bonus time. But it doesn't store that infinitely. It only goes up to a certain number of hours.
So you can't leave it for a week.
No, you still do actually have to come back every day or so.
That's somewhat okay, I suppose.
And also, it's I'm still not 100% convinced about the balance of the progress. It seems like you tend to have these large blockages of getting enough money. Even if you've completely redesigned your factory to only focus on money and not research, or if you're one of the researchers focus only on research and not as much money or whatever, still seems like it takes a little too long for some of these to get over some of the roadblocks of just building up enough money. It's just to get the 1 billion that I needed to unlock the next thing. It's just that seems to be taking a little too long, but I don't think there's anything more I can do to improve my factory's efficiency as it stands.
I got nothing more I can invest in to get some more auto-clicking.
Yeah. Yes, so far I've made it to making electronics. Which is the fourth tier of... It's not exactly the fourth... I was kind of expecting more crossover, but you start off with iron. It's just you get iron ore and you smelt it and you just sell iron.
Sure.
And then tier 2 is steel, where it's like, okay, you can take that iron and then you can put coal in there, and then you get steel, and that is more profitable, obviously. But then it just abruptly changes to plastic, and it's just like steel is now irrelevant because plastic sells for way more, so there's no reason to build any iron or steel infrastructure. You just only make plastic now. It still uses coal, which is like the one thing that does cross over, I guess. So
but you can get rid of all your iron.
Yeah, so you basically just completely wipe your factory and then rebuild it to only make plastic for that stage. And that was where this big roadblock in terms of money came in, because to move on from plastic took a really long time, even though I was only making plastic and I was making as much as I possibly could inside the bounds of this factory. And now I've moved on to electronics, where it's just like, now it's plastic and silicon, but still not iron or steel. Those are still irrelevant.
You don't need those.
And I'm like, are we heading towards, is there going to be a point where all these old resources that are irrelevant in terms of pure profit for that resource, are they going to come back around as like a part of a future thing? Because apparently the next thing that I'm going to be making is guns, and I'm fairly sure that's going to involve steel, probably.
Yeah. Some wood.
Probably shouldn't involve electronics unless there's some kind of fancy gun. But we'll
Sci-fi
see.
guns. Making a laser pistol.
It seems like there's guns, and maybe the last stage is drones, which probably will involve electronics, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how many stages there are, but it sounds like there might be maybe 8 different technologies. So somewhere there's at least like another 3 between guns and drones, and I don't know what that's going to be. The mystery middle section. And I've still only unlocked the first 2 of 5 or 6 factories, because the second factory costs $1 billion, of course. And then the third factory is like a quadrillion, or whatever the next number up is. Next power of 10, as you do. You've got to keep going up in ridiculous amounts.
Would you think the next level, does each level sell for exponentially more money then?
Pretty much.
Because how else can you make yourself grow?
Well, yeah, that's how this thing works, really, isn't it? That's why you move from steel directly to plastic, where it's like steel is like, it's selling for £100 per item, and then plastic is like, this is now 1,000. It's just better. No reason to make steel unless you want to feed it into a lab to get extra research bonus. So yeah, that's that.
That is indeed that.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Factory idle. Is it idle as in being idle?
Yes. Except
not like American Idol.
No, not Factory Idol. That would be a different game. That would clearly be some kind of dating simulation.
I'm the queen of the factory.
You're dating anthropomorphic factories.
Yeah.
Probably.
Hateful factory.
Yep, exactly. As soon as I started to think about that, I was like, yep, this is great. There's all of these things, just like the tank dating simulator. It's clearly hilarious.
Well, the cat that was the cat dating we found at EGX called Perfect Date.
That can't be as good as pigeons.
Can't be as good as pigeons.
No, I think pigeons, they hit
Factories,
on the
though, that could work.
Factories, though, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of smoke to billow.
But that might be a disadvantage.
You blow smoke, don't you? Like as a phrase.
Yeah.
You don't billow some smoke.
Well, you could billow it if you wanted, I guess.
I suppose you could. Blow off steam.
It'd probably be a disadvantage if they all had to smoke.
You could call someone a slag.
You could.
I mean, that's
sort of related to factories.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
It's a bit of iron smelting in there somewhere. Slag.
Okay, let's move on from that terrible concept.
Workshop it.
Just wait until one of us plays one of those games.
Well,
because Rob, at this stage, it seems like Rob might.
I do have one. I do have. Interestingly enough, through Humble Bundle, I don't have the original Hateful Boyfriend, but I have its holiday cousin.
Oh, holiday spin-offs.
Yeah, like Hateful Boyfriend Holiday Star, which I think is the Christmas version. Which I'm less interested in fairness. I just want to play pure pigeon action.
Yeah, presumably there's going to be like a partridge, right?
Oh,
Possibly in a pear tree.
is that the extra character? Possibly in a pear tree.
Or just a pear, apparently.
Or just a pear. Yeah, this was the dumb thing we were talking about last week with Gnome. And then she got a bit of marketing material that tried to simplify the 12 Days of Christmas down to like imagery.
Like singular items,
Yeah.
almost.
And it didn't. And for one, it didn't show a partridge or a pear tree. It just showed a pear, and I don't think that counts.
No,
I don't think that's allowed.
probably not. Just a pear.
Just a pear. Just a really nice pear.
I think I'd prefer a pear if we were talking about.
But what if you were to receive the 12
Yeah,
gifts of Christmas that you'd much prefer?
just a really nice pear.
Just a really
Don't want a
nice
bird.
But what
Tree's a
about-
lot of effort.
If you've got a partridge and a pear tree, think of the number of really nice pears.
They might not be nice. And also, you still have to wait for them to grow.
You reckon it's a partridge in a diseased pear tree? Is that what you're
Or it
saying?
might just be a generic boring pear tree. It might not be really nice. It might just be like okay.
Generic as pear tree.
A lot of pears aren't that great, really.
What did I've seen a fair few decent pears.
My grandma used to grow pears, but they grew on like a vine almost. It was like it wasn't really a tree. It was like climbing up a wall. It's like I guess pear trees aren't necessarily trees. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
They can be quite
More-
small and
More like a bush.
manageable.
A pear bush.
I don't actually know whether pear trees do at some point become like apple trees. Like how you imagine an apple tree being.
Oh, what? Oh, I see.
The traditional, like, when you think of an apple tree, you just think of a generic ass tree, essentially.
Yeah, with the apples in it.
I don't think pears are necessarily like that. They might be more close to, like, bushes and vines.
No, I don't know. I have absolutely no recollection.
You don't know how pears grow. They
No,
might
I
just
don't know
emerge
enough
from the
about-
ground.
Yeah, exactly.
They might secretly be potatoes.
They are actually. They're
Singular
actually
potatoes.
they're actually dismembered horse bollocks that have gone wrong from a Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer.
They flew off into a
Yeah.
tree.
No, they're actually just the remains of all the boob physics from DOA Extreme 2.
They're not nearly squishy enough. Pears can be quite squishy, but not that squishy.
Only if you leave them out. No, they go hard, isn't it? No, which way? Oh, I can't remember.
Actually, no. The way those boobs moved, I'm pretty sure they weren't exactly squishy. There's probably some plastic going on, some saline
It was
solution.
squishy on the inside, but hard on the outside. Armadillos.
Armadillos.
Armadillos. And we're back.
What have you played?
Uh,
You finished a game at last.
Yeah, I've played quite a few little things. But the big talking point for me is I finished Nier Automata.
Finished as in.
Automata.
And then
As
I guess
in-
we can't really talk about this because of all the spoilers.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real difficult one.
So
to talk about
what
because-
constitutes finishing that game? How many times do you have to play it?
So, in the end, it only worked out as technically 3 routes. So you've got route 1 and 2 that I was talking about before that are basically the same route, but the second time you play it, it's retold by 9S instead of 2B as a character. Whereas the third route is effectively a whole new story that follows on from the end of route B. And boy, it's mental. The direction that story goes and the way it blows up and the way it then becomes incredibly meta and then kind of doesn't resolve
Oh.
and then sort of does resolve and then
Mhm.
you find bits of archive about the place that further pad out the weird meta narrative going on with this game and how it ties to the original Nier and the story of that. And oh, it's mad. It is madness, and I love it.
Yes.
Like it's just I don't think we'll see a storyline as bonkers and as complex and as deep and as worthy of analysis for quite some time. I don't think, and nor do I think there has been one that's quite this quite this thought-provoking in many
Wow.
ways. It's not to say that I think the game actually does the best job of portraying a lot of that. A lot of this requires you to dig, requires you to think, requires you to actually sort of go reading these logs that you find and
Right.
thinking about what's really going on here. And the actual main storyline does a reasonable job of painting the bleakest picture out of everything that you can imagine, and where it ends up going with some of the stuff I talked about previously. Some of the stuff that was subtle in some cutscenes and then eventually becomes very unsubtle, and then eventually becomes a big thing, and the whole point of Route C. I think that's that. If you when as I was playing it, I was sort of going through it, going, "What? Okay, what is going on? Who are these? What? Where did you come from? What is a meta network?" And so it's throwing some stuff at you, and you're just like, I don't get it. Why are you girls?
Why are you girls?
Like, why are you red girls? Yeah, and but afterwards, having done it a couple of times, having seen some of the archives, having spent some time thinking about it, and having seen some incredibly well written, in-depth analyses that people have spent an awful lot of time in trying to do, like proper critical analysis of what the hell is going on and what it means, and interpretations of the stuff that isn't explicitly said and stuff like that. There's some fantastic articles out there about it. Having read all that, I'm sort of sat there thinking, this thing is genius. Like, it's operating on 1,000,000,001 levels at once, and you're not going to get them all. But as a narrative exercise, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, amazing.
But it's got to be said that on the gameplay side, it doesn't really get that much more interesting than what.
No.
Where I was before. Some stuff in the world does dramatically change after the intro for Route C, which is bold. It's got to be said. The intro for Route C has some balls to does what it does.
Intro balls.
To does what it does. Yeah. Yeah. It's you're 2/3 of the way in the game, and it basically does the sort of Metal Gear thing of like, the prologue for this route is effectively a couple of hours long, or an hour long, or something like that. Oh, and some really dramatic event has happened. Here's some producer credits. Super late title card. Right. And I'm just like, whoa, moment.
Anime.
Yeah, kinda. Very anime. Yeah, the whole nature of the world kind of changes.
Sweet.
It's got some chutzpah to do it to do that. It does what it does, and.
Nier Automata, it's got some chutzpah. It does what it does. Robin Kemp, 2017.
That's the Steam Curator review right there.
Selection of words
But all that said, the actual sort of gameplay mechanics of it doesn't really evolve that much.
No.
Somewhat disappointingly, really. I feel like it's. The same problems still persist that I talked about before, and that I wish the world that was about was a little bit more interesting, a little more expansive, a little more varied. I wish the combat was a little deeper than what it is, really, because it's not super tricky at any real point. I struggled with some parts, but you couldn't. A bit like in Zelda, you end up being able to just equip abilities at some point, or level up enough where things aren't exactly a problem anymore.
Yeah,
like dying becomes quite difficult to do. Although I did find one secret that basically puts me against a boss that kills me immediately, and I'm like, I do not know what to do. So I probably won't attempt that. Maybe ever, because it seems ludicrous. But yeah, very worthwhile experience. And we'll have to we will probably have to get into it in a lot more detail at some point because it's just bonkers.
Maybe we'll do a spoiler cast just so you can explain what the hell's going on with.
Yeah, maybe.
At some point.
Yeah, or maybe.
Is this a game of last year that you played this year? Is it?
No, it's a game of this year.
Ah, so game of the year considerations.
March-ish. Yeah, so it's.
The thing is, you might not actually have to talk about it because it might be one of those things where we don't have anything that can fit in a category against it, so it will just win by itself.
I know,
unless you think it's a game of the year.
I think it's worth. I think it's probably worth nominating in that camp for me anyway.
It's going to be a difficult year with Zelda and Mario going on, but
yeah,
for anything else. But yeah, we should definitely talk through that stuff.
And Sonic Mania.
Oh no, that better not win.
It's going to win at least one category.
Yeah, sure.
Probably. It's going to win some stuff. Yeah, it depends how. We probably need to have a discussion about that at some point. What we're actually doing.
Yeah, well, we
doing
got time.
Content-wise this time.
We don't. We won't though. It's always
no, we won't. No.
It gets to about December, and then we're just look up the list of categories from last year. Fuck it. then that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our entire discussion.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I don't know because we never talking about Nier and things like that. We don't really do. We've never gone down the road of having things like what's the best overall story category, what's the most.
It's because we don't play enough similar games.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always the trouble with our categories. We have to come up with really vague and weird categories.
Yeah, because it would. Yeah, kind of. But then,
it's either vague or it's incredibly specific for one weird thing that we noticed.
Yeah. Best audio thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Best audio thing. Probably the best category we have, actually.
Yeah, well, it's almost like original one. Probably.
Well, I did wonder if there's a way we could factor in an innovation award, but I don't quite even know where Nier would sit on that because it's in very few games actually have an innovative part to them. It's just the combination of those parts that comes together, right? That is video games, and it's so it's hard to even peg it in that sort of way. I suppose it's possible to put it in the sort of best moment style thing. There will definitely be moments worth talking about in this thing, and it's yeah. If you don't care about spoilers, so obviously go look at the YouTube videos. It's worth it. Just get a feel for how it presents itself. Fantastic soundtrack as well. Got to be said, it really grew on me as it went on. I thought at first it was perhaps a little out of place, and perhaps seemed a little too epic for what I was doing. I was this is a bit heavy. Going on? No, that's properly justified by the end of the game. And the way they actually through most of Route C, you're actually hearing everything you're hearing is the same music, but it's a variation of it as well. The instruments will be mixed up and the tunes change, and the more I sort of started to cotton onto that fact, the more that actually started becoming interesting. I'd hear a theme that I was used to, but oh no, this is different now. There's because 9S is now in this situation rather than 2B. The music is playing differently.
It's changed it up.
Or because this scene involves a certain. There's a bit of a robot cult, basically, and when the music it plays during that sequence is very similar to a bit of music you heard during the last sequence, but it's got the chanting of the robots layered over it, and it's in this particular phrase that they use, and it sort of removes the monotony of that music in a way, because it's just oh, I've just heard this. Oh no, wait, I haven't just heard this. It's really cool, really cleverly designed soundtrack. And to the point where even if you go to the jukebox in that game, you can listen to, like, you pick a song and then it's like, all right, which sort of layering of this song do you want to listen to? And it's like, oh, okay, you're actually just straight up exposing how this works. That's cool. Yeah, very neat. What else I've been playing? I beat Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
What? On Mega Drive?
On an actual Mega Drive.
Nice.
I was just like, a bit of me was like, oh, I thought we played Sonic Mania. I need to, I realised I didn't actually own the original Sonic games, so I got hold of them all. So that means I not only have the original Sonic, I've got Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles on the original Mega Drive, and I'm going to be playing them all.
How are you playing them? Like, is your Mega Drive plugged into what?
My
RTV?
Mega Drive is plugged in via God, how is it plugged in? An RGB SCART cable straight into my telly. And it's not the best quality, but it's totally, it's playable. It's fine. And it's nice playing it on real hardware. There's something to it. Sounds proper, and those old Mega Drive controllers are actually quite suited to playing Sonic. Maybe not a lot else, but they're quite suited to playing Sonic. Once I found the Mega Drive 2 controllers, anyway, which have a longer cord, so they actually reach the couch. Yeah, so I did that. Sonic 1's a weird game to go back to, as it turns out. Like, I'd sort of forgotten how more platformy that first one is.
Right.
And no, I forget what Gnome said about the soundtracks. He said this is like watching a cheesy game show. Like, and he's like, yeah, you're not wrong. Some of the music in this first game is seems a bit weirdly out of place with the tood that's supposed to be going around in Sonic.
Tood.
The tood.
It's always been levels like that, though, I guess.
Yeah.
I always thought that about the non-PC version of Launch Base.
Oh god, yeah. That music was. That's just very grand, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
Bum, bum, bum,
yeah.
Bum, 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 bum,
I mean, it's theoretically appropriately dramatic, but it's like it's not. It doesn't sound.
It looks like it's from a different game.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a Sonic game, really.
But whereas, yeah, the Sonic 3 Mega Drive soundtrack is, thanks to its Michael Jackson influences, is friggin' excellent. Like, no part of that soundtrack is bad. Although it is weird that I had even never noticed this before, or had never played Sonic 3 connected to a Sonic and Knuckles cart on real hardware. But there are things about it that change. Like, certain music stings are different in Sonic 3 compared to when you're playing it cartridge only versus with Sonic and Knuckles, and it's like, I've never noticed that before, because the PC version had the Sonic and Knuckles version music in it.
No, it didn't. If you just played Sonic 3, it did have the different stings and everything.
But how does it do the one that's just drums?
How did it do it? It just had that file on the PC version.
But in MIDI, like, how does that even work? Because it was like...
It just had a bad MIDI version of it. Actually,
it's a bit like the Yeah Toast, is it like...
Yeah, I remember that music. So I don't think it was that different. I think they somehow emulated a similar kind of drum sound.
Made it work somehow. Interesting. Because I know they changed some of the boss music as well, like the mini boss music in the Sonic and Knuckles version isn't the same as if you're playing just Sonic 3 on its own.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a shame because the Sonic 3 version is better. So, same, in fact, with that Knuckles sting. It's like the for some reason the just drum beat on its own seems more suited to that game's form of tood than the sort of bum 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 bum.
That was more of a song, though.
Yeah, it's more of a song, but that little sting feels slightly less Knucklesy, right? Sonic 3, like that Sonic 3 is like that's where it sort of starts, like being Knuckles and all hip hop, right?
Vaguely.
Anyway, there is a certain element of like when we've been playing Sonic Mania recently, you're like, oh yeah, Sonic Mania is clearly doing things that the original console couldn't do in terms of animation and stuff like that. But I actually sort of don't remember the originals being as far behind that as they actually are. If you see what I mean, like they having played Sonic Mania and going back to the older Sonics is somehow harder. Also, it's I'm playing on PAL hardware, and over the years when we've been playing the PC version and emulated versions of these games, they were they'd be running on the like 60 frames per second stuff, whereas the PAL stuff obviously runs at 50. And so,
yeah, of course.
And the whole game is slower, and it's weirdly noticeable. Like, I've never really had that problem with many PAL versions of games, but playing Sonic, I totally see it.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like,
not because it's like jittery, because obviously my TV handles that. Like British TV should handle 50 hertz, no problem. But it's just that the whole game runs a bit slower, and so the music's that little bit slower, and
sort of pitched down a bit or whatever.
Yeah, no, just things hit at a different time. It's not that it's pitched down. It's just subtly different, and that's kind of interesting. Also, for most Sonic games, actually, it turns out, as cool as Angel Island is, it's actually that's a weird way to open a Sonic game. It's not quite that level doesn't flow that well, like compared to a lot of Sonic openers, where it's like, oh, this is quite large open spaces, quite a lot of speed involved. Actually, Angel Island is quite a bit platformy for an opening Sonic level.
Yeah, usually the first level is sort of very free and speedy.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I still think it looks cool, though. It's doing cool with its wavy heat haze and Robotnik coming out from behind the waterfall as the boss. It's like, yeah, some cool stuff going on there, technically. And setting a whole island on fire. That's cool. What else have I actually been playing? Like, significantly. I played through all of DeadCore after we did our video of it. I did a cycle, which took me about 3 hours. It's only 5 levels, as it turns out, and we did 3 of them in the video.
Oh, really?
But at levels 4 and 5 are really very hard.
Really hard, right? Yeah.
So I ended up getting interestingly, there's one of the powers I don't have. And it was listing what you need, and you get the in the video we got the switch gun, and we got your ability to dash. And then you got the ability to gravity mod, and also at some point you then get the ability later on to blast. Now I didn't get the blast, so I have no idea what that is. But the gravity mod became an essential part, and it's quite difficult to work with. So there were some cubes we saw when we did the videos that were basically just a white. Sort of a wireframe, but not to be confused with the other wireframes, like the big wireframe structures, like just a cube on its own. Now, when you get the Gmod, you can shoot those with the switch gun, and they create like a cube field of alternate gravity. So you'll start walking up the wall or something, or it will swap the way it works.
Okay.
And that could either be a temporary effect or it could be a permanent effect. So they can do all kinds of mind-bending platformer things with that, with you having to turn on a switch to change the gravity of a platform, then land on it, then you twist to it, then you walk up a wall, and then if you're walking straight up the wall, you might need the momentum to cover the lip at the top, so you land on the platform you've just gravitied out of, or you'll be zipping between platforms with different gravity on them, and it's in a very sort of almost non-Euclidean, sort of all over the place style maze, and it gets a bit mind bending. And most of the time, you've got to do it fast. And it's or one bit where it turns a horizontal structure into basically a giant tunnel you're falling through, and having to dodge stuff with and shoot stuff as you're falling down it. And you've got to do it with enough time before the thing turns off, and you just fall out of it. So it's doing some neat stuff. And I like the style of it, and it turns out actually when I got to some of the more drum and bassy sort of electronic tracks in it, it's actually got a pretty damn decent soundtrack in there. Like it's very sort of dirty drum and bass, like very sort of filthy, quite grimy, quite underground, and it's and I really quite like it. I quite dig it. But, and this is a fairly significant but, I think the later levels have a bit of an over-reliance on them being difficult because of the presence of the bad guys.
Right.
Like the enemies and things like that. So it adds an element of unpredictability to it. Even though I imagine they all move with like predefined behaviors and patterns. And
the problem that we saw just in the video was like they don't necessarily reset when you do.
No, some definitely do. I can say that for certain. Some definitely just respawn in the right place, but yeah, some definitely don't, and that's quite difficult to work with. Later on in the game introduces these really big ass enemies that basically have like 4 satellite dishes that rotate around them. In order to deactivate the enemy, you've got to shoot all 4 in fairly quick succession to turn the enemy off. If you don't, that enemy has very, very good accuracy with an insta-kill laser. And there's a section towards the end of that game where you basically have a central pillar and you've got to do 3 different challenges around it. And each time you complete one of the challenges, you've got to go back to the pillar and make your way across it to the next bit that goes to the next one. But that central section is filled with those troopers that bump you about the place. It's filled with mosquitoes that you discover that basically make you stop and sap your abilities for a while. And it's also filled with 2 or 3 of these giant laser firing nightmares. So getting across there was just an effort in frustration, really. Every time you had to go back to this middle bit, it's like, I've got to bundle my way through here. And I've been shot by something I can't see because it's somewhere behind me. And I haven't quite figured out how to jink it. So it misses me. Presumably I just have to time my dash for just the right moment. But that window seems very small. And I'm not looking at the thing when I do that, and it's like, yeah, that was a bit of a failing. So you do all that, and at the end of the game, it has one of those sort of like, yep, you've reached the top, but you've not really succeeded in doing anything. There's still stuff to do, and I'm like, what have I got to do? And it shows a little cinematic of perhaps some stuff materializing in the world, like just sort of perhaps new items appearing, and I wonder if that was some of the wireframes we saw becoming solid. Basically saying, right, now do it again. There may be different routes, there may be more stuff, and I did end up looking up, but it suggested there was a true ending, basically. There's an achievement for getting the true ending, and I looked up how to do it, and it's like, I'm not sure I want to do that. I think it was hard enough getting through those last 2 levels. I don't think I want to go back to do the whole speed run element of the game. I'm not sure I want to do with these enemies about. But I like what it was trying to do, and I like the approach. It seems like the devs managed to achieve it on a fairly... Reading some of their patch notes and how they... and sort of release note stuff. Seems like they managed to pull this off with relatively few resources and in a very short space of time whilst all holding down day jobs. So, kind of impressive. In some ways, and whenever they talk about features or bugs that they've noticed in the game, it's like, yeah, we'll try and fix that if we get time to ever work on this again. They're quite honest about the fact that it's like, yeah, no, there's a good chance we're never going to be able to get some time to work on this. It's just fair enough. Game's had 1 or only 2 patches or something since it released. Yeah. So interesting, but a little bit flawed towards the end, unfortunately. I would have liked it to have just been difficult platforming. Ruined by enemies. There's that. And I think the other game that's worth spending some time on is Slime Rancher.
Slime Rancher?
Literally spending some time.
Spending a bit of time.
It's a bit of the old grinding.
A little bit. So it was a game of gold, I think, in September when it released, out of early access. So it's technically a game of 2017. I'm playing a hot new release.
Yeah.
I needed something to do after playing Nier Automata, and I haven't quite decided what I want to do next. Really, I've got a bit of analysis paralysis in terms of what game I want to play next. And this was there and free, so it's like, whatevs, I'll do that. That could be something to add to Game of the Year. So imagine a Unity dev decided to make a first-person, stripped-back Viva Pinata, and you're kind of most of the way there to what this is.
First-person Viva Pinata. Okay.
Yeah, so you're on a sort of ranch, hence the name, I suppose, and you can build little. You've got these set plots on your base, effectively, where you can build corrals to keep slimes in, and the main loop of the game is collect slimes, feed them food, collect their poop, which they call plort in this game, and then sell the plort because the plort is worth money. And that's basically the main thing. So there's some stuff you can do as well. So there's several different forms of slime, and you can sort of make combo slimes by feeding the plorts of one type of slime to another slime, but don't feed them a plort that isn't of their type. Otherwise, they might turn into rainbow slimes, which eat other slimes and you. So don't do that. Or they're called the tar.
Right.
So you got to be careful. And also these slimes are unruly. They're like jumping on top of each other, and like unless you upgrade your corrals enough, your low walls might not be enough. So you've got to make the walls bigger, and then but they can still jump out the top if they get bigger, and you're trying to do combo slimes to get more plorts out of them. And then they might jump so you need to put a net on top. So it's like this loop of like constantly trying to earn enough money to build decent corrals, at least in the point in the game I'm at. So you don't end up with a bit of a disaster on your hands where your slimes are basically jumped out and are roaming free on the ranch and eating your crops and then pooping out plorts, which are then being eaten by the things that shouldn't eat them. Oh, God, and then things go bad because you've got a tar outbreak that's basically killed all your slimes. And it's like, it's mostly avoidable, but this stuff can happen until you start building proper stuff. And so it's got a fairly expansive world outside of your base that you need to explore in order to get the slimes and to find the materials you need and to effectively progress through the game to open up new areas. So you find different slimes, which may make more valuable plorts.
Plorts
is a cool word. I like plort. And it sort of scratches that. It's very stripped back, I suppose, in terms of the possibility space of Viva Pinata. But it sort of scratches that same itch of just, running around, do some things, feed some stuff, get the plorts, sell the plorts, go out, do a little bit more exploring, come back, do the same again, earn a bit more money, make sure your slimes are fed, spend your money on expanding the area so you can keep more slimes and make more money, and then go explore a little bit further, buy some upgrades.
And around
I'm at the point where and keep going. So I'm at the point where I need to start buying some upgrades for myself in order to reach new areas and be able to clear some gaps. And I found some puddle slimes, which I can keep in a pond in my sort of underground bit of base. Yeah, I don't know. There's not really a great deal else to say other than it's pretty delightful. You can have cat slime, so that makes me happy. And there's an achievement for when one boops you on the nose. So it's like, no,
because you've been booped by a cat.
I've been booped by a kitty. Yeah, it's scratching that very same itch. And after a day's work, of actual work, there aren't
your farm this morning.
Yeah, but it's sort of like we sometimes get when we're playing like open world games, and there's a certain mundanity sometimes to the tasks you're doing there. Like even if it's just like moving from one end of the map to the other in Zelda, or if you're just getting stuff off your map in Assassin's Creed, there's sometimes something to that feeling of just doing something, right, to end the day. And this is kind of that right now for me. I'm quite amenable to this feeling sometimes. What I will say is that I'm playing the regular Xbox One version, and it doesn't run all that great. It's like it never really hits 60. It's running at sort of uncapped frame rate with VSync off, so it never quite looks silky, I suppose, or particularly brilliant. But it has an option to add a 30 frames per second cap on it, which will clear that up, but then it doesn't run as fast, So I tend to leave that VSync off and just put up with the slight choppiness to get more frames out of it. So yeah, Slime Rancher. And that would be me, methinks.
Yeah, check out Slime Rancher if you like the sound of that.
It's delightful.
If you want to get booped by some cats.
Booped by kit slimes. Exactly.
Coolio. Right, how are we doing? I don't have much to talk about this time, I'm afraid.
Still no more Splatoon 2?
Well, I've played some, but I don't really have anything to add to Zeg's observations, really. Also, I'm not very good, but it's definitely fun.
I've only been playing more of the single player. Basically, I've been playing one level of the single player of Splatoon every time I have to start Minecraft. It's like, this will take about 5 minutes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that works. Oh, it is good that the Switch is like, you press the button and it starts.
I just take it out of the dock.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now I can just play one level of this real quick. Been working through doing every level with every weapon or whatever, which I'm not even halfway done in still.
Jeez.
Because there's a lot of weapons. I'm like most of the way done with the sniper rifle. Which is like the 4th weapon, but I also did the umbrella beforehand, so really I've done about half of them.
So yeah, and well, Mario comes out soon. I'll try and finish Zelda before then. I'm supposed to be
away, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm off after next week. But I'm going away up to Scotland for a few days. But I'll probably take the Switch with me. Because I won't have a laptop or anything, because I'll have handed mine into work.
Yeah.
So I'll play some there. Maybe I'll get Stardew Valley for the trip. I shall see. Switch seems like a good platform for that game.
Sweet. Yeah, it seems well suited.
Yeah. So I shall see. Yeah. So stay tuned for that stuff, and looking forward to Mario.
I do hear there's a new bundle coming out for the Switch with Mario. So
with the red Joy-Cons, that looks pretty nice.
So if the price is right,
with 2 red Joy-Cons instead of 1 red and 1 blue.
Yeah.
That's quite nice. Make the other one like white or something. Not sure that would look good, but it would make more sense for them.
Or maybe just like a proper blue rather than the neon blue.
Yeah, maybe.
Like the overall Mario's overalls, yeah.
I think it's a different shade of red for sure. It's the Mario red.
Yeah, I mean, it's less neon. The neon red was
exactly
pinky red.
Pinky, yeah. Yeah.
It probably fit my living room slightly better.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, play that, and probably you'll have to start Zelda from the beginning. Oh, what a shame.
Still nice.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Okay, fair.
I'm not doing that. I've put way too much time into that game.
I'd be kind of happy to start again at some point. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I kind of want. If I was going to start again, I'd kind of actually want to do the DLCs.
Yeah, for sure.
Hard.
When that,
So whenever I think about that, it's just like that's probably not going to be as that much fun, really. Because it's one of those classic things where it's just like, technically it's different and harder, but it's still like the same problems that you've already solved. Like, you still know how to fight these enemies.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you're still really good at fighting these enemies because you've been doing it for the whole game. So at a certain point, it's not really that much more different or difficult.
I have seen clips of like there are just weirder enemy formations or things will be on
flying things and stuff.
Yeah,
balloons
balloon floated platforms and things, and like so there'll be more weird and wonderful circumstances that you'll come across, which I can't help but think a bit of me is just like those aren't going to be particularly difficult.
Probably not
necessarily because you just pop the balloons.
Well, the thing about
but then the rest of me is just like, well, if they're not that tricky, couldn't they have just been patched into the game?
The thing about that kind of encounter is like, at a certain point, the like environment of the encounter or like that kind of stuff, even that becomes irrelevant because you're just like, the ideal encounter in Breath of the Wild is just like you drop in from above off the paraglider and murder everyone immediately or just stealth it. It's like it's very rarely that you actually have to like think about your positioning in a fight or whatever. You're just like, I've killed as many of you as I could real quick, and now I just have to fight the last couple. But like, I don't really need to worry about it because it's just generic fighting.
Did you do the kind of paraglider race thing on Eventide Island? Like,
yeah, I did.
I did that. Yeah,
I don't think I've got to the end of it. I have to give it another go.
It seems kind of like, well, I think it is kind of pointless.
Pointless, right?
Yeah, it doesn't give you a great deal out of it, does it?
Right. Okay.
And there's a point where he's basically, you get enough rings and he's happy.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
As long as he gives you the good set, or was it? Is there a good and is there an excellent result? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
I think there's one where he's like with those things, with most of those challenges. There's one that there's a sort of phrase where he's like, "Oh, clearly you've mastered this."
Yeah,
it's just like the snowboarding, where it's just like, if you do the snowboarding as well as you can, it's like, wow, you get a shield.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's like the game itself is the reward. Almost.
Although there are some of those that can be used as money earners, right?
I guess, but not like you need money, really.
I need enough to open the last fairy. God damn it.
Yeah, I think I did that. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
Anyway, you got further than me, probably. Anyway.
No, I think you've just done it slightly faster than I. Like in terms of hours spent, I think you did shrines faster than I did. I spent more time faffing about, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Generally. Which is generally what I do in games. I just faff.
Yeah.
Like, I think my playthrough of Nier took longer than average.
Right.
Just because I faffed.
Yeah. Cool. Well, is that going to do it for the podcast? Where are we at? I haven't got any timers or anything. But
we are 2 hours 36.
We are over.
Over as good as you.
Okay. So, yep. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, I guess. Hold on. Yeah, I'll be around then. Just trying to work it out. Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, hopefully.
You know, we're on episode 198.
Oh, okay.
What are we going to do for 200 then?
So 200 isn't next time.
It's not next time, but it's the time after.
Okay. Well, perhaps we'll have to get together for 200 or something.
Yeah, I mean, in the next episode, the 200th episode will be in pre-production, and then we'll start filming 2 weeks later.
Okay,
and then
cool.
we'll film like 3 episodes at once, obviously.
Yeah.
We'll predict what the future needs and what games we're going to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
just
like Avatar.
Bet the farm on these 3 episodes. And
but we don't need to worry about episode 200. We only need to worry about episode 256.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep.
Is that? Are you hoping that we delay our the oft teased best games ever feature?
I'm hoping that never happens, to be honest.
Why?
I put me wondered
it's dumb.
I put me wondered if we hit a certain threshold and we do best games of the Saladcast, not the best game. Like, so the games we've talked about.
I don't think we'd be able to remember what games we've ever talked about on the Saladcast. That would be a lot of effort to go back.
They should all be documented.
They should be.
It's just the games
we just look at the go-to lists, right, and just go through those.
What's the best game of the year of all the game of the years that we've done?
Yeah, well, because the GOTY list's basically listed every game of that year that we played. So it's
Right.
more or less.
Rocket League.
Yeah, Rocket League, the gamiest game of the year.
TF2. I don't know.
TF2 will probably be in there.
It's not dumb, Zeg. You're already playing it. If you're like, yep, TF2.
No, but that's the trouble. That's why it's dumb. It's because it's not actually a discussion.
What, TF2 versus Rocket League isn't a discussion?
Well, yes, it's not a discussion because it's literally impossible to compare two completely different things.
But that's why you have to try with things.
Yeah,
that's where the comedy lies.
Yeah.
It's where dumb arguments lie, as is shown by various other Game of the Year podcasts.
Yeah, but I love it.
Okay, well, we'll see. Stay tuned for that, listeners. And also check out our YouTube channel for more gameplay vids. Don't know what's coming out.
Divide by Sheep just went up because I got a bit
Yeah, check
behind.
that one out.
Or don't.
or don't check that one out.
Yeah, it's not the most interesting of games in fairness, but
Okay.
And unfortunately, I think Zach and I actually got a little bit into actually trying to solve it rather than coming up with comedy. But not that we come up with comedy.
It just springs naturally.
We're lucky if it occurs.
Well, if you want some fun check that out. And
capital Y.
And we'll join you in 2 weeks for Saladcast 199.
199. Ipswich 199.
Bye.
I said that. It's a bit like Brooklyn 99.
Okay, it's a bit like that.
Bye.